Chapter 46. The ancient Buddha character instantly expanded in the wind. It was like a chaotic Buddha mountain that suddenly came crashing down. The purple demon race's leader was terrified. Devil light divine flame. Devil flames burst out from his body, attacking the ancient Buddha character in a frenzy. His full force attack landed on the ancient Buddha character, but it did not budge in the slightest. Boom! The purple demon race's leader was smashed into the ground by the ancient Buddha character. The entire Buddha cavern trembled. The ground of the Buddha cavern continued to crack, spreading out like a huge rift valley. The other purple demon race's experts who were rushing over stopped in their tracks. They were dumbfounded looking at the purple demon race's leader who was smashed into the ground by the ancient Buddha character. At this time, the ancient Buddha character flew back into Lu Yiping's hand. The purple demon race's leader was completely embedded into the ground, blending in with the ground. His flesh and blood had turned into a paste. With a flick of his finger, Lu Yiping saw the purple demon race's leader's paste body fly out from the ground, falling into the heaven and earth cauldron. Soon, true God Realm gold cores flew out from the heaven and earth cauldron. These true God Realm gold cores were refined by Lu Yiping along with the purple demon race's leader's godhead. Therefore, compared to Su Xiu, Wu Mo's gold core was better. All these changes happened in the blink of an eye. The purple demon race's experts were dumbfounded seeing their leader killed and refined into a gold core. Their minds went blank. A true God Realm expert's body was comparable to an ordinary divine artifact, extremely difficult to refine. Many super sects could not refine a true God Realm expert's body even with the help of their sect's divine cauldron. They had never heard of a divine cauldron that could refine a true God Realm expert into a gold core in the blink of an eye. While the purple demon race's experts were still dumbfounded, Zhang Jin, Zhao Wen, Wei Bing, and Chen Yongyuan made their moves. The four of them moved in a flicker, and giant elephants appeared behind them. Heavenly Elephant Prison Fist. They punched out at the same time. For mountain-like fist imprints pierced through the air. Close to 100 purple demon race's experts were sent flying. Miserable screams reverberated through the Buddha cavern. But very soon, the screams stopped. The entire Buddha cavern was dyed with purple blood. Lu Yiping recalled the purple blood on the Pantheon Master's blade. However, the purple blood on the blade was slightly different from the blood of the purple demon race. Subsequently, Lu Yiping had Zhang Jin and the rest collect the purple demon clan experts' belongings before leaving the Buddha cavern. Exiting the Fire Dragon Temple, they continued on their way to the Hundred Flowers Empire. Not long after Lu Yiping and the others left Fire Dragon Temple, they saw batches of Tan family experts rushing over. When the Tan family's experts saw the Tan family's experts along the way, their faces sank. Who killed so many of my Tan family's experts? One of the Tan family's true God Realm ancestors roared with bloodshot eyes. However, when they followed the trail of blood to the depths of the Buddha cavern, they were stunned when they saw the corpses of the purple demon race experts. The purple demon race did it. But who was it that killed these purple demon experts? The experts of the Tan family were bewildered. The next day, Lu Yiping's group arrived at the Hundred Flowers Empire's Black Sea. The Black Sea's waters were as black as ink, hence the name Black Sea. The Black Sea mountain was located at the center of the Black Sea. Lu Yiping looked at the ink-like Black Sea in front of him, recalling the time when his good friend Qin Shaotian founded the Azura's Gate. When the Azura's Gate was established, it was he who helped Qin Shaotian choose this Black Sea. The Black Sea was still there, but his old friend was gone. After a short pause, Lu Yiping's group flew towards the Black Sea Mountain. At this time, on the Black Sea Mountain, the Thousand Devil sect chief Li Fei was directing Thousand Devil Zhongzhong's disciples to carry out construction. Ever since the Thousand Devil sect destroyed the Azura's Gate and occupied this place, Li Fei had planned to turn this place into one of the most important branches of the Thousand Devil sect. This place was located in the Black Sea, surrounded on all sides by the sea. The Black Sea's rich spiritual energy was extremely suitable for their Thousand Devil sect's cultivation techniques. After 3 years of continuous demolition, renovation, and reconstruction, the Azura's Gate's main hall had changed greatly. Li Fei looked at the newly renovated Azura's Gate main hall and the surrounding buildings, nodding his head in satisfaction. He walked out of the Azura's Gate main hall and saw the Azura's Gate founder Qin Xiaotian's statue in the square in front of the main hall. His brows furrowed. Looking over from the main hall, one could see the Black Sea's waters. The scenery was very good. However, this statue was close to 100 meters tall, greatly obstructing the main hall's view. "You guys take action later, destroy that statue for me," Li Fei said to the group of Thousand Devil Sect's experts beside him. Hearing this, the Thousand Devil Zhongzhong's experts looked at each other. "Sect Chief, this Azura's Gate founder's statue is a little strange." One of the Thousand Devil Sect's experts said, "The statue has a mysterious power, no one can destroy it." Mysterious power? Li Fei was surprised. The Thousand Devil Sect's experts nodded. Li Fei muttered, "Then let's not worry about it for now. In a while, the Soaring Flower Gate's Grand Elder Kujia will come here to inspect. I heard that there are experts from Martial God Hall accompanying her. Prepare yourselves and come with me to welcome them." Experts from Martial God Hall. The Thousand Devil Zhongzhong's experts were shocked. Li Fei nodded with a smile. "It's young Master Zhao Zihao from Martial God Hall." Everyone was in an uproar. On Shenwu continent, there were 4 great young masters. The first was the Wan family's Wan Hong, the second was Zhao Zihao from Martial God Hall, the third was Yun Haitian from the Yun family, and the fourth was Qin Yuan from the Qin family. The Qin family was the family of Shenwu continent's number 1 array master, Qin Qingyang, and Qin Yuan was Qin Qingyang's son. "So, when you come with me to welcome young Master Zhao Zihao, no mistakes must be made. Do you understand?" Li Fei said solemnly. The Thousand Devil Zhongzhong's experts felt their hearts tremble, but they all respectfully acknowledged. Not long after, 2 people flew over from the distant sea, 1 male and 1 female. They were the Soaring Flower Gate's Grand Elder Kujia and Martial God Hall's Zhao Zihao. The Thousand Devil Zhongzhong's people, who had been waiting for a long time, hurried over to welcome the 2. "Greetings, Lady Kujia." The Thousand Devil Sect's sect master, Li Fei, knelt down in front of the 2. "Young Master Zhao Zihao." Kujia had Li Fei and the rest rise, and then, under the escort of the Thousand Devil Zhongzhong's experts, she and Zhao Zihao arrived at Black Sea Mountain's Azura Plaza. When they landed, Kujia looked up at the statue of ancestral Shura that stood in the center of the plaza. She frowned. "Get someone to tear down this statue." The Thousand Devil Sect's sect master, Li Fei, respectfully acknowledged. He hesitated for a moment before saying, "Lady Kujia, this statue of ancestral Shura is somewhat strange. It contains a mysterious power that has stood for countless years without collapsing, and it will be difficult to tear down." Martial God Hall's Zhao Zihao was astonished. His gaze landed on the statue, and his eyes flashed as if he had discovered something. He took a step forward and arrived in front of the statue. He then circled around it, occasionally frowning, occasionally relaxing, and then shaking his head. "Young Master Zhao, you're a formation expert. Is there a formation inside the statue?" Kujia asked curiously when she saw Zhao Zihao's expression. Zhao Zihao thought hard and then said, "It seems to be a formation, but it's not. The method is somewhat similar to the Snowfall City's Great Snow Gathering Formation and Great Snow Melting Formation." He then smiled. "However, it's not difficult to tear down the statue. Let me try." Chapter 47. Zhao Zihao flew up to the stone statue's chest and waved his hands. Rays of light flashed as runes formed one after another. "This is condensing runes out of thin air." Thousand Demon Sect Master Li Fei exclaimed in shock. When an array master wanted to construct an array, they would need to use a rune brush. Only when one's array skills reached a certain level would they be able to condense runes with their bare hands. This was condensing runes out of thin air. Hearing Thousand Demon Sect Master Li Fei's exclamation, Zhao Zihao's expression remained the same. His hands continued to move as runes formed one after another, reaching several thousand runes. Moreover, there was no break. Condensing runes out of thin air was something some array masters could do. However, condensing 100 runes out of thin air was something only a few array masters could do. As for condensing 1,000 runes out of thin air, that was even rarer. Not to mention several thousand of them. Then, under Zhao Ziheo's control, these runes condensed into mysterious array diagrams. Condensing runes into arrays. 100 Flowers Gate's Grand Elder Kujia exclaimed, "I've long heard of young Master Zhao's array skills and spear skills. Seeing it today, the rumors are true." Condensing runes into arrays was many times harder than condensing runes out of thin air. Zhao Ziheo laughed, "I'm just displaying my slight skill in front of an expert. Compared to Senior Yang Siyuan, my insignificant array skills are far inferior." Yang Siyuan, Dark Demon Hall's ancestor. Not only was he a peak late-stage True God Realm expert, but he was also one of Hengyuan Plain's top 10 array masters. Kujia smiled, "Young Master Zhao is too humble." At this time, Zhao Ziheo's God Force surged, pouring into the mysterious array diagrams. In an instant, the mysterious array diagrams emitted shocking power. "Go!" Zhao Ziheo waved his hand, and these array diagrams contained shocking power as they slammed into Ancestor Azura's stone statue. In an instant, the originally calm Ancestor Azura's stone statue flickered with light. A series of buzzing sounds came from the stone statue. Thousand Demons Sect Master Li Fei laughed respectfully, "It seems like in less than a minute, the stone statue will explode. Young Master Zhao's array skills are unparalleled." Zhao Ziheo smiled and grunted in acknowledgement. But suddenly, a terrifying sword ray shot out from the stone statue and shot towards Zhao Ziheo, arriving in front of him in an instant. The sudden change shocked Zhao Ziheo, and a long spear appeared in his hand. Cold Star Fall. With a thrust of his spear, countless spear lights broke through the air. These spear lights were like falling stars, emitting astonishing flames as they met the sword light head-on. Cold Star Fall was the strongest move of the Martial Sacred Hall's Heavenly Dawn spear technique. But it was useless. The sword light instantly cut through all the spear lights. Zhao Ziheo was shocked, and he quickly retreated. In an instant, he executed several kinds of concealment techniques. At the same time, golden light surged out from his body. Golden runes flew out and formed a golden divine armor around him. The armor flashed with lightning. This was the supreme defensive technique of the Martial Sacred Hall, the Golden Armor Thunder God Armor. Even so, the sword radiance hit the Golden Thunder God Armor. Zhao Ziheo was still hit by the attack. He staggered backward until he reached the edge of the square. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. The divine armor on his chest had been completely cut open. The wound was so deep that his bones could be seen. Kujia and Qian Mo Zhongzhong of the 100 Flowers Gate were shocked. Zhao Ziheo also looked at the stone statue in shock and anger. "Do you think you can destroy the stone statue with this measly formation of yours?" At this moment, a voice rang out. "Measly formation?" Hearing this, Zhao Ziheo's face sank. He and Qian Mo Zhongzhong of the 100 Flowers Gate turned toward the source of the voice. Above the sea, a young man in a blue robe was walking on air. Behind him were 5 middle-aged men and a little girl. These people were none other than Lu Yiping, Lu Peng, and Zhang Jin. Lu Yiping did not ride the war chariot. Soon, Lu Yiping's group arrived above the square. "Who are you? What business do you have with my Thousand Devils sect?" The Thousand Devils sect chief Li Fei stepped forward and asked solemnly. Lu Yiping ignored Li Fei and the others. He walked up to the stone statue and looked at it. Memories of the past flashed in his mind, as if he had returned to the days when he was drinking and drinking. The Thousand Devils sect chief Li Fei's face sank when he saw that Lu Yiping was ignoring him and staring at Ancestor Azura's stone statue in a daze. "Brat, our sect chief is asking you, what business do you have with our Thousand Devils sect? Also, young noble Zhao Ziheo's array skills are unparalleled, how can a junior like you comment on it?" A Thousand Devils sect Grand Elder stepped forward and reprimanded. However, just as the Thousand Demons sect's Great Elder finished speaking, the space shook and a formless power sent him flying. Everyone was stunned. Even Zhao Zihao and Kujia were stunned. Who are you? The Thousand Devils sect Chief Li Fei's face darkened, looking coldly at Lu Yiping. It seems like you came to my Thousand Devils sect to cause trouble, then you came to the wrong place. Kujia was the concubine of the Dark Demon Hall's ancestor Yang Xiyuan. The Thousand Devils sect was backed by the Dark Demon Hall, and even the Martial God Hall's Zhao Zihao was present. Regardless of the origin of this blue-robed young man, Li Fei had nothing to worry about. Here to cause trouble? Only then did Lu Yiping turn around. His gaze fell on the Thousand Devils sect Chief Li Fei, and he said nonchalantly, "You're wrong, I'm here to kill." Kill? When the Thousand Devil Zhongzhong's experts heard this, they immediately surrounded Huang Xiaolong. Lu Yiping's expression remained the same as he looked at the Thousand Devils sect Chief Li Fei. "You're the Thousand Devils sect Chief Li Fei." "That's right, I'm Li Fei." The Thousand Devils sect Chief Li Fei sneered. Right at this time, he saw Lu Yiping reach out his hand. Tens of thousands of rays of light flew out and entered the bodies of the Thousand Devils sect Chief Li Fei and the other Thousand Devils sect experts. Li Fei and the others were horrified to find that their true essence and internal energy were completely sealed. Even the power of his physical body had been completely sealed. You! Li Fei looked at Lu Yiping in horror. Zhao Zihao and Kujia, who were watching from the side, felt their hair stand on end. This young man, in the blink of an eye, actually sealed the true essence, internal energy, and even physical strength of several thousand Devil sect experts. With their true essence, internal energy, and even physical strength sealed, wouldn't Li Fei and the others be no different from mortals without the strength to truss a chicken? Lu Yiping said to Lu Peng and Lu Xiaoyu, "Their strength has been sealed, you can go up and avenge the Azura's Gate disciples who died." Originally, with Lu Peng and Lu Xiaoyu's gold core realm strength, it was impossible for them to kill Li Fei and the others. However, now that Li Fei and the others' strength was completely sealed, it was easy for Lu Peng and Lu Xiaoyu to kill them. Two blades appeared in Lu Peng's hands. His eyes were bloodshot as he walked towards Li Fei and the group of Thousand Devils sect experts. Azura's Gate. You're an Azura's Gate elder. One of the Thousand Devils sect elders who had fought with Lu Peng looked at Lu Peng with fear. Just as Lu Yiping was about to step forward and kill Li Fei and the others, Zhao Zihao of the Battle God Temple suddenly spoke to Lu Yiping, "I am Zhao Zihao of the Battle God Temple. Who are you to the Azura's Gate?" The Thousand Devils sect has submitted to the Dark Demon Palace and is one of their forces. If you kill Thousand Devil Zhongzhong's men, you will offend the Dark Demon Palace. Chapter 48. He had heard from the Martial Sacred Hall's Zhao Zihao that the Thousand Demons sect had already submitted to the Dark Demon Hall and was now a force of the Dark Demon Hall. He had also warned him that if he killed the Thousand Demons sect, he would offend the Dark Demon Hall. Zhang Jin, Zhao Wen, and the other three laughed. Lu Yiping also smiled and said, "So the Thousand Devils sect has already submitted to the Dark Demon Hall. If you didn't tell me, I really wouldn't have known." He paused, "But if that's the case, then I want to kill you even more." Zhao Zihao's face darkened. Lu Yiping continued, "You're a disciple of the Battle God Palace? However, since when did the Martial Sacred Hall's disciples become the lackeys of the Dark Demon Hall?" "You!" Zhao Zihao was enraged. At this time, Lu Peng arrived in front of Li Fei and swung his twin blades. When Zhao Zihao saw that Lu Peng, a Golden Core Realm martial artist, actually disregarded him, he could not help saying angrily, "Courting death." The long spear in his hand suddenly stabbed out. 9 dragons extinguished the sun. Imbuing it with divine power, the long spear pierced toward Lu Peng's chest. 9 fire dragons flew out. Zhao Zihao's eyes were cold. His 9-dragon spear art was the strongest spear art in the Martial God Hall. Although he was only a mid-stage Divine Spirit Realm expert, he could still fight against a late-stage Divine Spirit Realm expert with this 9-dragon spear art. Just as Zhao Ziheo's spear was about to pierce through Lu Peng's chest, a hand suddenly appeared from the side and grabbed Zhao Ziheo's spearhead. He grabbed it with his bare hands. Zhao Ziheo's long spear pierced into the palm of the other party. With a clanging sound, sparks burst forth, but it was actually unable to advance any further. As for the other party's palm, it didn't even break the skin. Zhao Ziheo and Ku Jia were shocked. They looked over and realized that the one who attacked was one of the blue-robed young man's subordinates. The one who attacked was Zhang Jin. Zhang Jin gripped Zhao Ziheo's spear, his countenance cold. With a flick of his wrist, Zhao Ziheo was flung through the air, while the spear landed in his hands. Just as Zhao Ziheo was sent flying, a blood-curdling scream was heard. The head of the Thousand Devils sect master, Li Fei, was cut off by Lu Peng. The other experts of the Thousand Devils sect all felt their souls turn cold. Many experts of the Thousand Devils sect rushed in front of Ku Jia and shouted for her to save them. "Your Grand Elder Ku Jia of Hundred Flowers Gate." Lu Yiping's gaze landed on the Grand Elder of the Hundred Flowers Gate, Ku Jia. "Since you're here, it saves me the trouble of making an extra trip to the Hundred Flowers Gate." Sensing the killing intent in Lu Yiping's words, Grand Elder Ku Jia's expression changed. She said, "I am the concubine of Dark Demon Hall's ancestor, Yang Xiyuan." Lu Yiping pulled her in front of him. "Yang Xiyuan's concubine? So what? Who are you?" Ku Jia's voice trembled. Lu Yiping said calmly. Both Ku Jia and Zhao Ziheo's expressions changed when they heard this. "You're Lu Yiping." The matter of the Yin Ghost sect's young sect master, Hao Dan, had already spread. All the experts of the Xinwu continent's super sects had heard of Lu Yiping's name. The two of them had tried to guess the identity of the blue-robed young man in front of them and guessed that he was from the Shura sect. However, they had never imagined that he would be Lu Yiping, who had recently become known as the Zither Immortal. However, the two of them could not understand how Lu Yiping was related to the Shura sect, which was only a second-rate power on the Xinwu continent. Lu Yiping was not in a hurry to kill Grand Elder Ku Jia. Instead, he searched her soul. He wanted to know who had ordered Ku Jia to kill the Shura sect's experts. Soon, he finished searching her soul. Lu Yiping's expression turned cold. The person who had ordered Ku Jia to kill the Shura sect's experts was not the Hundred Flowers Gate's sect master, but the ancestor, Sun Fong. However, Sun Fong had long since submitted to Dark Demon Hall and was now under their control. Not only Sun Fong, but another ancestor and a group of Grand Elders from the Hundred Flowers Gate were also under Dark Demon Hall's control. After he finished searching her soul, Lu Yiping directly sent a stream of flames towards Grand Elder Ku Jia. She was instantly engulfed by the flames and dissipated in midair. Not even ashes fell from her body, and even her primordial spirit and fate palace were completely incinerated. Zhao Ziheo looked at Lu Yiping with fear in his eyes. There were all sorts of discussions about Lu Yiping in the Xinwu continent. Everyone said that Lu Yiping was a madman who did things according to his whims. Now, the rumors were true, and he had even killed the concubine of Yang Xiyuan, the ancestor of Dark Demon Hall. Screams rang out one after another. One by one, the Thousand Demons sect experts were killed by Lu Peng. Empty Black Sea was surrounded by the sea, and the Thousand Demons sect experts' strength had been sealed. They could not escape even if they wanted to. Not long after, the screams stopped. The plaza was littered with the corpses of the Thousand Demons sect experts. The stench of blood was pungent. Zhang Jin, Lu Peng, and the others began to clean up the scene. Zhao Ziheo stood there. He wanted to leave, but he did not dare to. Lu Yiping looked at him. When he felt Lu Yiping's gaze, Zhao Ziheo's heart trembled. He lowered his head, not daring to look at Lu Yiping. "Your Nine-Dragon Spear technique was passed down to you by Tsing Jiujue?" Lu Yiping asked indifferently. "Tsing Jiujue?" Zhao Ziheo was stunned, but he soon realized that Lu Yiping was referring to the ancestor of Martial God Hall, Martial God Jiujue. Martial God Jiujue was the strongest and oldest ancestor of Martial God Hall. Tsing Jiujue was his real name, but it had been many years since anyone had dared to call him by his real name. His nine-dragon spear technique was not passed down by martial god Jiujue, but by another martial god of martial god Hall. This martial god was martial god Jiujue's personal disciple. Zhao Ziheo's face sank when he heard Lu Yiping call their ancestor martial god Jiuju by his real name. Even Jiang Yu from the extreme celestial sect would address their ancestor as Senior Jiuju. Lu Yiping, don't think that you're invincible just because you killed Hao Dan and Su Shou. You're nothing in front of our martial god Hall's martial god Jiuju. How can you call our martial god Hall's martial god Jiuju by name? Zhao Ziheo said coldly. Is that so? Lu Yiping said indifferently, even if Tsing Jiujue is in front of me, I will call him by his real name. Then, he flicked his finger and sent Zhao Ziheo flying out of the Four Seas mountain. Go back and tell that brat Tsing Jiujue to take good care of martial god Hall. If martial god Hall gets involved with Dark Demon Hall again, don't blame me. Lu Yiping's voice sounded. Many martial god Hall's ancestors and disciples had close relationships with Dark Demon Hall. Some of martial god Hall's experts even married Dark Demon Hall's female disciples. Zhao Ziheo was sent flying out of the Black Sea mountain, crashing into the Black Sea. Hearing Lu Yiping's words, he was both shocked and angry. With great difficulty, he flew out from the Black Sea. Looking in the direction of the Black Sea Mountain's Azura Square, his eyes were indifferent. Then, he sped away. A short while later, Lu Peng, Zhang Jin, and the rest cleaned up the scene. Lu Yiping walked into the Azura Great Hall. Although the Azura Great Hall had been altered beyond recognition by Thousand Devil Sect's experts, many of the buildings still retained some of their original style. Lu Yiping walked around casually, and before he knew it, he arrived at Azura's Gate's ancestral land. Chapter 49. The Shura Gate ancestral land was located behind empty Black Sea. However, there were no beasts in sight, and the spiritual energy in the ancestral land had dried up. Not to mention spiritual herbs, there wasn't even a single stalk of spiritual grass to be seen. The entire ancestral land was desolate like a wasteland. It was obvious that the spiritual vein in the ancestral land had been completely dug out. Moreover, all the valuables in the ancestral land had been taken away. Lu Peng followed behind Lu Yiping. Looking at the desolated ancestral land, his heart was filled with bitterness. Several decades ago, when he had entered the Shura Gate, it was already a second-rate force in the Shinwu continent. However, there were still close to 10,000 disciples, and empty Black Sea was still quite lively. It was not as desolate as it was now. All of a sudden, Lu Yiping pressed his palm in the direction of the Azura Gate's ancestral land. In an instant, rays of golden light shot out from the ground, bathing the ancestral land in a golden glow. Surging waves of energy continued to emerge from the ground. Lu Peng was shocked. Was this the ancestral land's ancestral source power? Many years ago, no one in their Azura Gate knew how to utilize the ancestral root's power. Yet, Lu Yiping was actually able to do so. How did Lu Yiping know about this secret technique? Lu Peng was puzzled. Lu Yiping flicked his finger, and a spiritual vein flew out. Immediately, divine spiritual energy swept through the ancestral land like a vast ocean. Divine-grade spiritual vein. Lu Peng exclaimed. After this divine-grade spiritual vein flew out, it was like a flying dragon that flew into the ancestral land and merged with the Shura Gate's ancestral source. In an instant, the desolate ancestral land was filled with vitality and spiritual energy. Some of the withered tree trunks began to sprout, and their withered bark began to fall off. New bark began to grow. The mountain tops were filled with tender greenery. It was a pleasant sight. Lu Peng took a deep breath, and all the pores on his body opened. It was as if his mind and soul were being purified. From now on, the Shura Gate's ancestral source will be under your control. Lu Yiping said. Me? No, I can't. Hearing Huang Xiaolong's words, Lu Peng jumped in fright, stammering, young noble, I'm just an insignificant elder in Azura's Gate, moreover, my strength is weak. Who knows, there might still be grand elders on the run. Lu Yiping interrupted, I told you to control it, so you'll control it. His expression was gloomy, but in the end, he respectfully complied. Although you've learned the Azura sword skill, it's still too low level. Lu Yiping said, I'm going to teach you a cultivation technique. This cultivation technique was cultivated by the ancient Azura clan's royal family. Then, he pointed at Lu Peng's forehead and a profound cultivation technique was imprinted in his mind. With the ancient Azura tribe's imperial cultivation technique, the Azura ancestral land's godly spiritual aura, and the true god gold pellet he had given to Lu Peng's cultivation would progress by leaps and bounds. Following this, Lu Yiping had Zhang Jin's group and the immortal golden phoenix Huang Jiao remodel Empty Black Sea. While Zhang Jin's group was reconstructing Empty Black Sea, Zhao Zihao had fled back to Battle God Hall's branch on the Xinwu continent. Zhao Zihao's father, Zhao Xiong, was the branch master of Battle God Hall. When he saw the shocking sword wound on Zhao Zihao's chest, he asked Zhao Zihao what had happened. Zhao Zihao stammered and told him about Empty Black Sea. Zhao Xiong's expression sank. This Lu Yiping is reminding us not to get too close to Dark Demon Hall. Yes, he said that if Battle God Hall and Dark Demon Hall continue to be entangled, then we can't blame him. Zhao Zihao nodded. Whoever our Marshal's Sacred Hall is close to is our Marshal's Sacred Hall's business. Who does this Lu Yiping think he is? Why does he have to meddle in this? The Vice Hall Master of the Marshal's Sacred Hall, Yu Zhifang, sneered, does he think he's the master of Hengyuan Plain? He wants to care about everything in the world? What AF * king joke? Zhao Xiong muttered, this Lu Yiping is actually walking together with a small elder of the Shura Gate. He even killed Kujia for the sake of the Shura Gate, not hesitating to offend Yang Xiyuan and the Soaring Flower Gate. What is his relationship with the Shura Gate? Investigate the relationship between Lu Yiping and the Shura Gate. Also, inform Dark Demon Hall and the Soaring Flower Gate that Kujia has been killed by Lu Yiping. Lu Yiping stayed in Empty Black Sea for 2 days. He then headed towards the Hundred Flowers Empire's capital. The Soaring Flower Gate's headquarters was close to the Hundred Flowers Empire's capital. Not far from the capital was the Soaring Flower Gate's headquarters. As he approached the capital, he saw that almost all the people passing by were women. There were very few men. This Hundred Flowers Empire is a country of women. Everyone is a woman. Taurus Longjiao stared at the women passing by. Most of the women passing by were beauties. Zhang Jin laughed, the Hundred Flowers Empress Ji Yu places great importance on female generals. 90% of the Hundred Flowers Empire's officials are women. The Hundred Flowers Empire has a strong female culture. Many sects' patriarchs and families' patriarchs are held by women. Therefore, the number of women in the Hundred Flowers Empire is 3 to 4 times the number of men. When Lu Yiping's group arrived at the Hundred Flowers Empire's capital, he noticed that the number of men in the capital was even fewer. 9 out of 10 people were women. On both sides of the street, there were battle arenas with the word spouse competition written on them. Master, I also want to go up and give it a try. Taurus Longjiao felt an itch in his heart. Lu Yiping chuckled, if you go up, she might not even take a fancy to a cow like you. Right at this time, a commotion broke out in the crowd. It's Holy Maiden Luo Tong. Holy Maiden Luo Tong is here. Lu Yiping looked over and saw a luxurious carriage slowly approaching from the street. On both sides of the carriage were 2 groups of experts, and there were at least 100 of them. Inside the carriage sat a devastatingly beautiful woman. On Xinwu continent, the Wan family was the leader of the 4 great clans, while Yunheishan's Yun family was ranked last. After the Wan family was the Luo family. The Luo family's ancestor was one of Xinwu continent's 3 great sword gods, sword god Luo Ning. He was also the only remaining sword god on Xinwu continent. Luo Tong was a daughter of the Luo family. Like Yun Haitian, she had dual saint gifts, but her fame surpassed Yun Haitian's and Zhao Zihao's. This was because not only was Luo Tong a daughter of the Luo family, but she was also the disciple of the Tai sect's ancestor, Jiang Susu. Jiang Susu was Jiang Yu's younger sister. When the various disciples and experts on the street saw the carriage approaching, they all retreated, and some even knelt down in excitement. I heard that Holy Maiden Luo Tong is here to visit the Soaring Flower sect. She's good friends with the sect master. Luo Tong has dual saint gifts, and her beauty can topple cities. I wonder which man will be lucky enough to win the favor of Holy Maiden Luo Tong. I heard that even the two young masters, Zhao Zihao and Qin Yuan, were unable to win Holy Maiden Luo Tong's heart. The crowd whispered amongst themselves. Soon, Luo Tong's entourage arrived in front of the Golden Horn War Chariot. Chapter 50. Luo Tong's entourage passed by the Taurus without stopping, and they soon disappeared at the end of the street. Taurus Longjiao looked at the entourage and said, "Why does that girl look so much like Goddess Luo Shui?" Goddess Luo Shui was one of the most beautiful women of ancient times. Even the Master of Gods had admired her back then. However, the Master of Gods had not been able to win her back in the end. Some people said that Goddess Luo Shui had once told the Master of Gods that her heart already belonged to someone else. This had caused a huge commotion at the time, and everyone had been guessing who had won her heart. This person had even become the enemy of everyone. But in the end, no one knew who Goddess Luo Shui's heart belonged to. Lu Yiping looked at the girl from the Luo family as she left, deep in thought. Luo Tong. Luo Shui. Let's go, Lu Yiping said. Taurus Longjiao said, "Master, look, it's getting dark. We're out of the city and in the wilderness. Why don't we rest here for the night and head to Soaring Flower Gate tomorrow? It's still early." Lu Yiping smiled. Although it was already afternoon, there was still an hour or two before the sky darkened. Lu Yin naturally understood Taurus Longjiao's intentions. Thus, the group did not stop, and they passed through the capital and headed toward Soaring Flower Gate. Not long after leaving the capital, they arrived at a plain. There were all sorts of colorful flowers in full bloom, and when the wind blew, the fragrance of the flowers filled the air. This was the Centauria Plains of the Centauria Empire. Many flowers that were rarely seen in other parts of the Shenwu continent could be found here. There was a large road in the middle of the Centauria Plains. The chariot traveled along the road, and all sorts of fragrant flowers surrounded it. It was a pleasing sight to behold, as if one had entered a world of flowers. This Centauria Plains has been destroyed countless times, but every time, it will be restored the next year, Zhao Wen said. This time, Lu Yiping had only brought Zhang Jin and Zhao Wen with him. Lu Peng and Lu Xiaoyu stayed behind to cultivate and restore the Azura's Gate. Wei Bing and Qin Yongyuan also stayed behind. Lu Yiping nodded. Someone set up the 10,000 Spirit Growth Formation on the 100 Flower Plains. Although the Myriad Spirit Growth Great Array wasn't one of the top 10 ancient divine arrays, it was still a very famous array. Within the range of the Myriad Spirit Growth Great Array, anything that was destroyed would slowly recover. Of course, the recovery ability of the Myriad Spirit Growth Grand Array was limited. Not everything could be restored. For example, if a 100,000-year-old spirit herb was destroyed, the Myriad Spirit Growth Grand Array would not be able to recover. Could it be that Qin Yu set it up? Taurus Longjiao asked. No. Lu Yiping shook his head. This 1,000 Spirits Growth Formation has many flaws. It wasn't set up by Qin Yu. While the war chariot was traveling through the Sea of Flowers, the great mighty heavenly dragon formation that Lu Yiping set up in the battlefield of the gods shook. Lu Yiping immediately sensed it. Turning his head, a vertical eye appeared between his eyebrows. This vertical eye flickered with lightning, as if it contained a sea of lightning. This vertical eye pierced through layers of spacetime and arrived at the battlefield of the gods. In the depths of the battlefield of the gods, in the space of the 9 ultimate god burial formation, every movement was reflected in the vertical eye. However, the space of the 9 ultimate god burial formation was calm, nothing out of the ordinary. Earlier, the great mighty heavenly dragon formation had covered the space of the 9 ultimate god burial formation, but after finding nothing out of the ordinary, it disappeared into the void. Lu Yiping frowned. The Eye of Lightning punishment scanned the battlefield of the gods for a while before retracting it. Then, he had Taurus Longjiao continue forward. The night gradually darkened. Stars dotted the sky. The night sky was just like a piece of black jade that was dotted with starlight. When they passed by a small hill, Lu Yiping stopped and set up a bonfire. Drinking wine and barbecuing meat, he thought about the great mighty heavenly dragon formation that shook. "Master, did the great mighty heavenly dragon formation move just now?" Taurus Longjiao asked. Lu Yiping shook his head. Right at this moment, someone was humming a song from afar as he walked over. Drunken carefree. Heaven and earth carefree. I'm drunken carefree. The tune was decent, but the lyrics were a little out of tune. He saw a sloppily dressed old man with shaggy hair was riding a donkey, staggering over. The old man hummed as he held a wine gourd and poured a mouthful of wine into his mouth from time to time. He didn't care that his chest was wet from the wine, and he had a carefree appearance. Suddenly, the old man smelled a whiff of strange wine. He couldn't help but stop and sniff with his rotten nose. His eyes lit up, and he rode his donkey over to Lu Yiping's side. Soon, the old man noticed Lu Yiping and the others. His gaze fell on the wine jar in Lu Yiping's hand. Then, he jumped off the donkey and landed beside the bonfire. Then, he smiled and said, "Little brother, what wine is this? It smells so good." He rubbed his hands together, looking like he could not hold back his thirst. Lu Yiping put down the wine jar and looked at the donkey behind the old man. He smiled and said, "If you want to drink this wine, give me that donkey in exchange." When the sloppy old man heard this, he seemed to wake up. He looked at Lu Yiping in surprise, then shook his head and smiled, "That won't do. This is my lifeblood, my old sweetheart. I won't exchange it for anything." Lu Yiping smiled indifferently. "This wine is made from ice flame fruit, thunderfire lotus, Buddha heart leaf, purple mist ice lava, earth flame." He listed more than 10 ingredients in a row. Every time he said one, the sloppy old man was shocked. He looked at the wine in front of Lu Yiping in disbelief. The ice flame fruit was a treasure. Back then, even He Shao of the Medicine King Hall was reluctant to drink this wine when he found out that it was made from the ice flame fruit. The thunderfire lotus and the other ingredients were all rarer than the ice flame fruit. It was no wonder that the sloppy old man was shocked and in disbelief. After Lu Yiping listed more than 10 ingredients, he stopped and did not continue. The sloppy old man's heart was itching from Huang Xiaolong's words. He couldn't help reaching out to the wine jug. However, just as he reached out, he was blocked by Zhao Wen's hand. The sloppy old man was surprised. He looked at Zhao Wen from head to toe, then smiled, "Late-stage true god realm, not bad." His hand suddenly moved, turning into countless afterimages, bypassing Zhao Wen's hand and reaching for the wine jug. However, just as he was about to touch the wine jug, he was blocked by a large bull leg. The sloppy old man held the large bull leg, looking at the golden retriever on the bull leg that emitted a golden light even at night. He was dazed. At this time, the bull leg shook, forcing the sloppy old man back. The sloppy old man looked at the Taurus Longjiao who was still sitting there chewing on the roasted meat in disbelief. His gaze swept over Zhang Jin, Zhao Wen, and finally fell on Lu Yiping. "Who are you?" His face gradually became serious. In the distance, the sound of footsteps could be heard. A fleet of carriages drove over. It was Luo Tong's fleet. Chapter 51. Lu Yiping looked at the sloppy old man and said, "You've cultivated the phantom god's hand to the 7th layer. Not bad." The sloppy old man was visibly shaken. His eyes lit up as he stared at Lu Yiping, as if trying to see through Lu Yiping. "You know about the phantom god's hand?" The phantom god's hand had not appeared in the world for many years. He had used it in front of many people before, and even many of the sect's ancestors could not recognize it. How did this blue-robed youth recognize it? Lu Yiping did not answer and instead looked at the sloppy old man. "You obtained the inheritance of the phantom god's technique?" The sloppy old man was clearly startled when he heard this. and he looked at Lu Yiping in bewilderment. At this time, Luo Tong's convoy was approaching. Luo Tong, who was sitting in a luxurious carriage, was startled when she saw the sloppy old man and Lu Yiping's group. Her gaze fell on the sloppy old man, and her beautiful eyes were filled with surprise. She then ordered the convoy to stop, and she alighted from the carriage. She walked in front of the sloppy old man and bowed respectfully. "Are you Senior Zhou Cheng?" The sloppy old man, Zhou Cheng, turned his head and glanced at Luo Tong before saying with a grin, "So it's little girl Luo Tong. You're becoming more and more beautiful as you grow. You're even more beautiful than that beautiful master of yours." Luo Tong giggled. Senior Zhou Cheng must be joking. She then continued, "My grandfather has always been thinking about you. Since you've come to the Shenwu continent, do you have time to visit the Luo family?" The grandfather she was referring to was the sword god Luo Ning. When the sloppy old man heard this, he mocked, "That brat Luo Ning must be thinking about my special technique. Your grandfather has evil intentions, so tell him to take care of himself." Luo Tong was startled, and she smiled awkwardly. Senior Zhou Cheng must be joking. The sloppy old man ignored Luo Tong, and his gaze fell on Lu Yiping. "May I know who your master is?" Lu Yiping shook his head. "I don't have a master." If Huang Xiaolong was talking about his master, it would be the Grand Mist artifact, the Fortune Jade Disc. His 1,000 Grand Daos came from the Fortune Jade Disc. Although he was an ancient cultivator and had made his name in the ancient times, his true body was naturally extraordinary. Since he had gained consciousness, the Fortune Jade Disc had been with him. Upon hearing Lu Yiping say that he had no master, the sloppy old man, Zhou Cheng, was greatly surprised. "No master?" He looked suspiciously at Lu Yiping, clearly suspecting that Lu Yiping was unwilling to reveal his master. He hesitated for a moment, then took out a jade pendant from his bosom and said, "This jade pendant is an ancient artifact. I wonder if little friend is willing to exchange it with me." He stared at the jar of wine in front of Lu Yiping. Lu Yiping glanced at the jade pendant and was surprised. He muttered, "Do you know the origin of this jade pendant?" Old man Zhou Cheng shook his head, "I only know that this is an ancient artifact. It must be extraordinary, worth at least 100 million. The 100 million he spoke of was naturally referring to 100 million divine grade spirit stones. He had obtained this jade pendant from the Phantom Demon King's cultivation dwelling. He had studied it for many years, but had not found anything useful. Lu Yiping took out a jar of wine from the heaven and earth cauldron and threw it to old man Zhou Cheng. Old man Zhou Cheng did not expect Lu Yiping to have another jar of wine. He caught the jar of wine and opened the lid. The aroma of wine assailed his nostrils. Old man Zhou Cheng hurriedly closed the lid and threw the jade pendant to Lu Yiping. He grinned and said, "Many thanks, little friend. Until we meet again." This jade pendant was not of much use to him. Being able to exchange it for Lu Yiping's jar of good wine was naturally a good thing. He put away the jar of wine and left on his donkey, completely ignoring Luo Tong. Luo Tong shouted, "Senior Zhou Cheng, wait. I have prepared a few jars of good wine for you." Old man Zhou Cheng rode on his donkey but did not turn back. He waved his hand behind him, indicating that he did not want it. Luo Tong opened her mouth but did not shout. She could only watch helplessly as old man Zhou Cheng rode away on his donkey. Old man Zhou Cheng quickly disappeared into the sea of flowers in the 100-blossom plain, leaving behind only the fragrance of flowers. Luo Tong turned around and looked at Lu Yiping. Her gaze landed on the jade pendant in Lu Yiping's hand. She smiled sweetly, "How should I address young master? Can you give this jade pendant to me?" Her voice was soft and filled with charm. "Give it to you." Lu Yiping smiled faintly. This lass had just used the bewitching demonic voice. If his willpower was not strong enough, he would have nodded. But from his words, he was going to give it to her for free. Did she really think that anything in the world could be given to her if she wanted it? Then again, with her looks, it was true that many men would fall head over heels for her. When Luo Tong saw the clear look in Lu Yiping's eyes that were filled with mockery, she couldn't help but be stunned for a moment before a smile appeared on her face. "And, as long as young master gives me the jade pendant, I will give you 100 million divine-grade spirit stones." Taurus Longjiao had already stopped chewing on the meat and snorted, "Little girl, your bewitching demonic voice is far inferior compared to goddess Luo Shui's." He then looked at Luo Tong from head to toe. "Of course, you are also far inferior to goddess Luo Shui's." "What did you say?" One of the guards behind Luo Tong stepped forward. Indifferent, he stared at Taurus Longjiao. The saber at his waist hummed endlessly. Luo Tong shook her head at the guard leader, then smiled at Lu Yiping. "I didn't expect young master to know about the bewitching demonic voice." After a pause, she continued, "Since young master is unwilling to part with the jade pendant, Luo Tong will not force you." She then returned to the carriage. The convoy slowly left. Taurus Longjiao looked at the departing convoy and said to Lu Yiping, "Just now, that beggar said that this girl's grandfather has evil intentions. I don't think this girl is a good person either." Lu Yiping returned to his seat beside the bonfire, picked up the jade pendant, and examined it carefully. Taurus Longjiao also stared at the jade pendant and asked uncertainly, "This is Dragon Han jade?" Lu Yiping nodded. There were a total of 5 pieces of Dragon Han jade, and they were not items from ancient times. Instead, they were items from the prehistoric era, and this was only one of them. According to legend, if all 5 of them were collected, one could obtain the supreme techniques of the primordial origin dragon, primordial origin phoenix, and water and fire qilin. Lu Yiping put away the Dragon Han jade and thought of the good fortune jade disc. He did not know where the other 23 discs were. After Luo Tong left, she headed towards the Soaring Flower sect. "Miss, that young man doesn't know how to appreciate favors. If it were up to me, we should have just taken action and snatched the jade pendant," the guard leader said to Luo Tong, who was in the carriage. Luo Tong shook her head. "This young man is actually unaffected by my bewitching demonic voice. He's not simple." She then muttered, "That old man Zhou Qing shouldn't have come to the Shenwu continent for no reason. Could he have come for the Sky God River?" The guard leader guessed. The night slowly passed. Lu Yiping's group continued on their way. By the time they arrived at the Soaring Flower sect, the sky was already bright. When Lu Yiping's group arrived at the Soaring Flower sect's main gate, they were stopped by the sect's disciples. "Our Soaring Flower sect is not receiving any guests today. Please return." Because of Luo Tong's arrival, the Soaring Flower sect refused to receive any guests, as they were afraid that they would disturb Luo Tong. Chapter 52. You're not receiving guests. Taurus Longjiao chuckled when he heard this. He then raised his huge bull leg and stomped down on the ground. It was as if a giant pillar had struck the ground of the Soaring Flower Gate. At this time, Soaring Flower Gate's patriarch Ji Lin and Luo Tong, as well as Soaring Flower Gate's ancestor Sun Fong, Tao Feng, and the others were gathered in the same hall. The Flora Empress, Ji Yu, was also present. When they heard that Luo Tong had come to the Soaring Flower Gate, the Flora Empress and the Flora Empire's experts had arrived early. Everyone was chatting and laughing. Suddenly, Soaring Flower Gate's ancestor Sun Fong spoke, "Gate Master, that Lu Yiping killed our Soaring Flower Gate's Grand Elder Kujia. Is our Soaring Flower Gate going to let this matter go?" Everyone in the hall stopped talking. "Oh, that Lu Yiping killed the Soaring Flower Gate's Grand Elder?" Luo Tong was stunned. Ji Lin nodded, but her expression was somewhat unnatural. Another ancestor, Tao Feng, coldly snorted. The Netherworld Devil Sect Su Xiu was ruthless and bloodthirsty all those years ago. I think that this Lu Yiping is even more ruthless and bloodthirsty than Su Xiu. If he's allowed to continue like this, who knows how many experts from the various sects and families on Shenwu continent will die at his hands. Back then, the various large sects joined forces to kill Su Xiu. We should also join forces with them to kill this kid. Luo Tong nodded. When I returned from the Tai sect, I also heard about this Lu Yiping. Everyone says that he is ruthless and cruel, and that he is a true devil. Her tone then changed as she continued, the Wan family actually ignored such a devil and did not act to suppress him. I think that Wan Wuti is unworthy of being the master of the Shinwu continent. Her tone was filled with dissatisfaction towards the Wan family and Wan Wuti. The Luo family was the second most powerful family on the Shinwu continent, and their relationship with the Wan family had never been good. The Luo family had always wanted to be the master of the Shinwu continent. Ji Yu wanted to defend Lu Yiping, but she hesitated and did not say anything in the end. In fact, everyone knew who was the one who spread these rumors. Right at this moment, a loud explosion shook the heavens, and the entire Soaring Flower Gate shook violently. Countless sand and dust fell from the roof of the Soaring Flower Gate's main hall, and many cracks actually appeared in the main hall. As for the ground outside the main hall, it cracked open. The Soaring Flower Gate's sect master Ji Lin, Luo Tong, and the others who were chatting in the main hall were shocked. What's going on? Inside the main hall, everyone stood up in shock and flew out of the main hall. Taking a closer look, Zhang Xian could see the mountain peaks of the Soaring Flower Gate. Boulders were rolling down the mountain, and valleys were still extending into the distance. Enemy attack! Terrified voices could be heard all over the mountain peaks of the Soaring Flower sect. One by one, the female disciples of the Soaring Flower sect flew up into the air, their faces filled with shock. Enemy attack! The Soaring Flower sect's sect master, Ji Lin's beautiful face sank. Although the Soaring Flower sect had conflicts with other sects, after being established for so many years, this was the first time someone had fought their way to the Soaring Flower sect's headquarters. Hundred Blossom Empress Ji Yu and Luo Tong were also dumbfounded. Coming to my Soaring Flower Gate's headquarters to create trouble, you're seeking death. Soaring Flower Gate's ancestor Sun Fang's face sank. Let's go over and take a look. Soaring Flower Gate's sect master Ji Lin said solemnly. She then took the lead, flying towards the main entrance. At the same time, she ordered one of the Soaring Flower Gate's grand elders beside her, gather all Soaring Flower Gate's elders and grand elders, prepare to activate the Soaring Flower Grand Formation at any time to welcome the enemy. That Soaring Flower Gate's grand elder complied respectfully and left to pass down the order. Soaring Flower Gate's ancestor Sun Fang, Tao Feng, and the other grand elders followed closely behind Soaring Flower Gate's sect master Ji Lin. Hundred Blossom Empress Ji Yu and Luo Tong followed closely behind. At this time, outside the Soaring Flower Gate's main entrance, the several Soaring Flower Gate's disciples who had stopped Lu Yiping's war chariot were looking at the golden bull pulling the chariot in front of them. Under the Taurus Longjiao's feet, the ground was densely covered in cracks. This was the source of all the cracks on Soaring Flower Gate's mountain peaks. Endless earth energy was seeping out from the cracks on the ground. Lu Yiping sat on the war chariot, looking at the horizon. On the horizon, countless black dots were flying in his direction at high speed. They were none other than Soaring Flower Gate's sect master Ji Lin, Luo Tong, and Hundred Blossom Empress Ji Yu. From afar, Hundred Blossom Empress Ji Yu saw the Taurus Longjiao's war chariot reflecting a mesmerizing light under the sunlight. She also saw the blue-robed young man on the war chariot. Looking at that familiar face, Hundred Blossom Empress Ji Yu's face tightened, and her heart skipped a beat. It's him. Even Luo Tong was dumbfounded. Wasn't this the blue-robed young man they met on the way here? Indifferent expressions appeared on the leader of the guards behind Luo Tong when he saw Lu Yiping from afar. So, it's this brat. He's really courting death. Hearing that, Soaring Flower Gate's ancestor Sun Fang asked, "You know this young man?" The leader of the guards answered, "We met him on the way here. This brat was disrespectful to our young Mississippi. I wanted to teach him a lesson on the way here, but young Miss put in a good word for him, so I didn't do anything." Everyone turned to look at Luo Tong. Luo Tong nodded, acknowledging the leader's words. Hundred Blossom Empress Ji Yu had a strange expression on her face. Just as she was about to speak, she saw Soaring Flower Gate's sect master Ji Lin's group speeding up, flying towards the war chariot. In the blink of an eye, Soaring Flower Gate's sect master Ji Lin's group arrived in front of the war chariot. The moment they arrived, Soaring Flower Gate's ancestor Sun Fong saw the blue-robed young man sitting on the war chariot. This blue-robed young man clearly saw their arrival, yet he was still leisurely playing with the little golden bird. Soaring Flower Gate's sect master Ji Lin and Luo Tong frowned. "Brat, which sect are you from? Roll down from the war chariot." Sun Fong's claw reached out, pulling Lu Yiping down from the war chariot. On the war chariot, Lu Yiping didn't move an inch. Sun Fong, Soaring Flower Gate's sect master Ji Lin, Luo Tong, and the rest were dumbfounded. As Soaring Flower Gate's ancestor, although Sun Fong wasn't the strongest, she was still an early divine spirit realm expert. Yet, she couldn't catch this blue-robed young man. Right at this time, the war chariot suddenly emitted a shocking force, sending Sun Fong flying. Sun Fong rolled on the ground, her chest smashing into a boulder at the foot of a mountain. Boulders flew everywhere. The Soaring Flower Gate's experts glared at Lu Yiping in anger. 100 Blossom Empress Jiyu, who had just arrived, shouted anxiously, "Stop!" She then walked past the crowd, heading towards the war chariot. "Big sis, what are you doing?" Soaring Flower Gate's sect master Ji Lin and the rest were bewildered by 100 Blossom Empress action. Before everyone's eyes, 100 Blossom Empress Jiyu walked to the war chariot, bowed slightly, and said to Lu Yiping, "Master Lu, it's been 10 days since we last met at the Big Dipper Emperor Palace. We meet again." Everyone was stunned. "Master Lu? Big Dipper Emperor Palace? Wasn't the Big Dipper Empire's celebration a few days ago?" Judging from 100 Blossom Empress words, she had seen this young man at the Big Dipper Empire's celebration. Moreover, it wasn't as simple as just seeing him. Chapter 53. Lu Yiping had a good impression of Blossom Empress Jiyu and nodded at her. Everyone was surprised to see this. Blossom Empress Jiyu had personally bowed to greet him, but this young man only nodded at her. Just as everyone was guessing Lu Yiping's identity, 100 Blossom Empress Jiyu turned to Soaring Blossom sect leader Ji Lin and said, "Younger sister, this is young Master Lu Yiping." Lu Yiping. Many of the Soaring Flower sect's experts were shocked. Even Luo Tong and the experts around her were shocked. Especially the guard leader, whose expression changed. Experts from other continents might not be familiar with the name Lu Yiping, but Lu Yiping's name was like thunder to many of the Xinwu continent's experts. Sect Master Ji Lin's expression changed, but she forced a smile and said to Lu Yiping, "So it's Master Lu. May I know why Master Lu has come to my Soaring Flower sect?" Looking at Lu Yiping's attitude, it could not be anything good. The Soaring Flower sect's ancestor Tao Feng, who had been clamoring to join forces with the other major sects to kill Lu Yiping, did not utter a word. "What's the matter?" Lu Yiping glanced at the Soaring Flower Gate's sect master, Ji Lin. With a flick of his finger, the Soaring Flower Gate's ancestor, Sun Fong, who had been sent flying earlier, automatically floated into the air and arrived in front of Lu Yiping. Seeing this, Soaring Flower sect master Ji Lin hurriedly said, "Young Master Lu, just now, Patriarch Sun Fong did not know your identity and attacked you recklessly. I beg for young Master Lu's forgiveness and not to hold it against him." Lu Yiping ignored sect master Ji Lin and looked at ancestor Sun Fong. Ancestor Sun Fong had suffered from the war chariot's recoil, and his armor had been shattered. His hair was disheveled, and his eyes were filled with fear as he looked at Lu Yiping. "Were you the one who ordered Kujia to kill the Azura's Gate Overlord and a group of eminent elders?" Lu Yiping asked in a cold voice. Sun Fong's heart skipped a beat, her voice trembling as she said, "Master Lu, I'm innocent. I have no grudge with the Azura's Gate. How could I have ordered Kujia to kill the Azura's Gate Patriarch and a group of eminent elders?" The Soaring Flower sect's experts looked at each other. Who would have thought that Lu Yiping was here for the Azura Gate? Soaring Flower Gate's ancestor Tao Feng gathered her courage and stepped forward. "That's right, Master Lu, ancestor Sun Fong has no grudge with the Azura's Gate. How could she order Kujia to kill the Azura's Gate Patriarch and a group of eminent elders? Ancestor Sun Fong rarely leaves the Soaring Flower Gate. How could she have crossed paths with the Azura Gate?" Lu Yiping didn't look at her and began to search Sun Fong's soul. Soon, the soul-searching ended. Lu Yiping's face turned cold. Seeing that Lu Yiping was about to kill ancestor Sun Fang, Soaring Flower Gate's patriarch Ji Lin hurriedly said, "Master Lu, if ancestor Sun Fang is really the culprit, we will punish her according to the sect's rules and give Master Lu a satisfactory explanation. Master Lu, please hand ancestor Sun Fang over to our Soaring Flower Gate to be punished." Luo Tong also stepped forward and said, "Even if ancestor Sun Fang is the culprit, she doesn't deserve to die. I hope you won't kill the innocent." "Doesn't deserve to die?" Lu Yiping snorted. With a casual twist of his hand, ancestor Sun Fang's head was twisted off. The Soaring Flower Gate's experts were shocked. Both Soaring Flower Gate's patriarch Ji Lin and Luo Tong's expressions were ugly. Lu Yiping looked coldly at Luo Tong. She gave the order to kill nearly 100 Azura Gate's experts, and ordered the Thousand Devils sect to annihilate nearly 10,000 Azura Gate disciples. Even the old, weak, women and children were cruelly killed. According to you, she doesn't deserve to die for giving the order to annihilate an Azura Gate. She needs to annihilate more sects like the Azura Gate before Sun Fang dies, right? Luo Tong's face flushed red, and at the same time, she was furious. She didn't expect that Lu Yiping would not only ignore her words, he even questioned her in front of everyone. She was the Luo family's daughter, and her master was the Extreme East sect's ancestor Jiang Susu. Jiang Yu was her martial uncle, and no one had ever embarrassed her like this. At this time, Lu Yiping found a map inside Soaring Flower Gate's ancestor Sun Fang's spatial ring. This was the Azura Gate. Sun Fang had given the order to annihilate the Azura Gate because of this map. Lu Yiping suddenly looked at Soaring Flower Gate's ancestor Tao Feng. "The other half of this map is with you, right?" Aside from Sun Fang, there was another Soaring Flower Gate's ancestor who had submitted to Dark Demon Hall, and that was Tao Feng. She was also involved in the annihilation of the Azura Gate. When Tao Feng heard Lu Yiping ask about the other half of the map, her face turned pale, and she retreated to Soaring Flower Gate's sect master Ji Lin's side. "Sect master, this Lu Yiping is a merciless killer. First, he killed our Soaring Flower Gate's Grand Elder Kujia at Black Sea Mountain. Now, he has come to our headquarters to kill our Soaring Flower Gate's old ancestor Sun Fang. Sect master, please activate the Soaring Flower Formation and kill him." The Soaring Flower Formation was Soaring Flower Gate's strongest formation, and it had been created by the sect's founder. Later on, Soaring Flower Gate had paid a huge price to invite the Shenwu continent's #1 formation master, Chen Qingyang, to strengthen this formation. At this time, countless sounds of breaking wind could be heard as the other Soaring Flower Gate's ancestors rushed over from their ancestral grounds. In the blink of an eye, the other 9 ancestors arrived. When the Soaring Flower Gate's ancestors arrived and saw Sun Fang's headless corpse, their expressions turned ugly. "Lu Yiping, you're too presumptuous. It's not enough that you killed Soaring Flower Gate's Grand Elder Kujia. Now, you've come to our headquarters to kill our ancestor Sun Fang." One of the ancestors, an old woman holding a walking stick with a phoenix head, glared at Lu Yiping. "Do you really think that our Soaring Flower Gate is a place where you can kill whoever you want?" This old woman was Ji Lin's master, Huing. She was also the previous sect master of Soaring Flower Gate and the strongest person in the Soaring Flower Gate. She was a late-stage true god. However, the moment her words left her mouth, she saw Lu Yiping pulling the Soaring Flower sect's ancestor Tao Feng in front of him. Without any expression on his face, he twisted Tao Feng's head off as well. Tao Feng was the same as Sun Fang, an early-stage true god. Everyone was dumbfounded. Ji Lin's master, Huing, was so angry that her face turned green. Her eyes were so cold that the surrounding air seemed to freeze. Lu Yiping's expression remained unchanged as he searched for the other half of the map from Soaring Flower Gate's ancestor Tao Feng's spatial ring. Seeing this, Hu Ying's eyes turned even colder. "Master!" Ji Lin knew what her master was thinking and wanted to persuade her. "Activate the Soaring Flower Grand Array." Hu Ying's cold voice sounded. All the Soaring Flower Gate's experts felt a chill in their hearts. In a flash, they flew to the various peaks of the Soaring Flower Gate. In an instant, rays of light shot out from the soaring flower gate's peaks like a waterfall, intertwining in the air above the soaring flower gate. Layers of energy fell from the sky, locking onto Lu Yiping and the war chariot. The late-stage True God Realm Master, Hu Ying, landed on the peak of the soaring flower gate's main hall. Her walking stick flew up and stabbed into the center of the square in front of the main hall. The soaring flower grand array was fully activated. The surging energy of the grand array alerted the soaring flower gate's experts. Chapter 54. One by one, the patriarchs of various sects appeared in the air and looked in the direction of the House of Petals. That's the Grand Petals formation. The House of Petals has fully activated it. Lin Qiong, the strongest patriarch of the Joyflower Palace, said in shock. The Grand Petals formation was the most powerful formation in the House of Petals, and was the cornerstone of the sect. Normally speaking, it wouldn't be fully activated unless the sect was in a life-or-death situation. Both the Joyflower Palace and the House of Petals were among the most powerful sects in the Hundred Flower Empire. The august patriarch of the House of Petals is no longer here, Empress Joyflower said. But the House of Petals has always been on good terms with Qin Xingyang. Who would dare to make a move against the House of Petals? Send someone to find out what's going on, Lin Qiong said, a very serious expression on his face. Even as everyone was speculating, Lu Yiping was standing in front of the House of Petals, looking at the fully activated Grand Petals formation with a calm expression. Hu Ying and the other experts of the House of Petals were pouring God power and true energy into the formation, causing it to grow stronger and stronger. The Dragon Horn Golden Bowl looked at the Flying Flower formation, which was still increasing in power, and smiled. This Flying Flower formation is quite beautiful. As the power of the Grand Petals formation surged, numerous flower-shaped talismans appeared in the air. Bathed in the sunlight, the talismans seemed almost illusory and beautiful. Of course, Taurus Longjiao's words were filled with mockery, as if he were mocking the Grand Petals formation. The soaring flower sect's ancestor Hu Ying's face sank when he heard the Dragon Horn Golden Bull's mocking words. How laughable! Let me tell you something. This formation was created by the august patriarch of the House of Petals, and was later strengthened by the exalted Qin Xingyang. Do you really think an ignorant ox like you can understand the power of this formation? With that, he waved his hands. Falling petals. The talismans in the air began to spin like a sea of flowers, which then began to descend toward Taurus Longjiao, Lu Yiping, Zhang Jin, and Zhao Wen. Kill them! Hu Ying shouted, his eyes flashing with cold light. Countless array talismans immediately surrounded Taurus Longjiao, Lu Yiping, and the others. Taurus Longjiao raised his head and looked at the colorful array talismans falling from the sky. He did not make a move and allowed the array talismans to land on his body. Lu Yiping and the others were the same. In the distance, Luo Tong was startled when she saw that Lu Yiping and the others didn't dodge and instead allowed the array talismans to submerge them. Miss, this Lu Yiping is either arrogant or an idiot when it comes to formations. Seeing this, the guard leader sneered, the great flying flower array's array talisman can even burn through the body of a late-stage true god. At this moment, countless talismans landed on Taurus Longjiao, Lu Yiping, and the others. However, Taurus Longjiao had a look of enjoyment on his face as he said, comfortable. As for Lu Yiping and the others, their expressions remained the same. Whether it was Luo Tong or the guard leader, everyone's eyes widened in shock. Disbelief was written all over Soaring Flower Sect's ancestor Hu Ying's face. How can this be? The array talismans of the Great Flying Flower Array had gathered the power of the Earth's core fire. Peanut Flower Extermination. Soaring Flower Sect's ancestor Hu Ying's expression was ferocious. God Force surged from his body, forming a sea of God Force behind him as he poured his true God energy into the Great Flying Flower Array's core. Under Hu Ying's control, the array talismans in the sky suddenly turned gloomy. A power that came from darkness, death, and the cold world burst out. In the next moment, the array talismans that had turned gloomy suddenly shone with a dazzling radiance. A surge of light, vitality, and energy that seemed to come from the core of the sun emerged. These two forces collided continuously, producing a destructive force that erupted like a volcano, crashing down on the battle force. Looking at the incoming destructive force, the immortal golden phoenix in Lu Yiping's hand suddenly opened its mouth. A terrifying devouring force devoured the destructive force in the blink of an eye. Even the array talismans in the sky were affected by the devouring force and collapsed one by one. The soaring flower sect's ancestor and Luo Tong's group were dumbfounded. Everyone's attention was on the little golden bird in Lu Yiping's hand. When Lu Yiping was playing with the little golden bird, no one paid attention to it, and no one would pay attention to it. This is... Luo Tong's beautiful eyes stared at the little golden bird, but she couldn't be sure. At this time, the immortal golden phoenix opened its mouth again, spewing out terrifying flames. In an instant, the sky was filled with a sea of fire. Countless giant golden fireballs fell on the soaring flower sect's mountain peaks. Loud blasts shook the sky and the earth. The soaring flower sect's mountain peaks were all shattered. The soaring flower grand formation's runes on the mountain peaks were incinerated to ashes. The several soaring flower sect's ancestors who were in charge of the grand formation were sent flying, their divine armors burned to ashes. The soaring flower sect's ancestor Hu Ying's body was charred black, even the hair on his body was burned away. She looked at the little golden bird in Lu Yiping's hand in horror, screaming, "Phoenix fire! This is Phoenix fire! The bird in your hand is a phoenix divine beast?" 100 Blossom Empress Jiyu, Luo Tong, and the others were shocked. The little golden bird Lu Yiping was playing with was actually a phoenix divine beast. Although Luo Tong had guessed earlier, she thought it was just a descendant of a phoenix. Who would have thought it was a phoenix divine beast? The phoenix was the king of all birds. The strongest of all flying divine beasts. Master! Soaring flower sect's patriarch Ji Lin came to her senses, rushing to Hu Ying's side. Soaring flower sect's ancestor Hu Ying opened his mouth and vomited blood. The destruction of the great flying sky array and the backlash from the array, coupled with the power of the phoenix flames, had worsened her injuries. "Let's go," Lu Yiping said calmly. The war chariot slowly left. In the blink of an eye, the chariot disappeared from everyone's sight. 100 Blossom Empress Jiyu looked at the devastated soaring flower sect with complicated feelings, not knowing what to say. Luo Tong looked at the war chariot leaving, then at the blue figure, saying, "I didn't expect this Lu Yiping to have so many treasures on him." First, the true version of the Heavenly Mammoth Divine Prison Fist, the true version of the Divine Time Fist, and the true version of the Golden Flames Divine Fist. And now, it's the Phoenix Divine Beast. Soaring flower sect's ancestor Hu Ying looked at the war chariot leaving with shock, anger, and hatred in his eyes. After Lu Yiping's group left, Lu Yiping took out a flame essence and threw it to the immortal golden phoenix to refine as a reward. "Master, where are we going next?" Zhang Jin asked. "To the Wan family," Lu Yiping said calmly. Didn't Wan Wudi want to see him? It was time to go to the Wan family. Lu Yiping's group didn't stay in the 100 Blossom Empire any longer and left. Chapter 55. After leaving the 100 Flowers Empire, Lu Yiping's group headed south. Several days later, Lu Yiping's group arrived at a desolate mountain range. High up in the sky, thunderclouds loomed over them, and strong winds howled. The night sky was as dark as ink, and it looked like it was about to rain. Although Lu Yiping's group wasn't afraid of a light rain with their cultivation, Lu Yiping didn't have the habit of traveling in a rainstorm. Therefore, seeing the light of a bonfire halfway up the mountain, Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao's group followed the light. Not long after, they arrived in front of a dilapidated temple. When Lu Yiping's group pushed open the door and entered, they saw a thin old man and an extremely tall and sturdy young man sitting around a bonfire, roasting meat. The fragrance of the meat filled the air. When the old man and young man saw Lu Yiping's group enter, they stood up and looked warily at Lu Yiping's group. "Gentlemen, we were passing by and came in to rest. Sorry to disturb you," Lu Yiping said to the two. The old man glanced at Lu Yiping and smiled. "Little brother is too polite." This temple isn't ours, and we just entered. If little brother doesn't mind, why don't you join us? Lu Yiping didn't refuse and sat down beside the bonfire. The young man looked at Taurus Longjiao in surprise and asked, "Big brother, where did you buy this cow?" Clearly, this was his first time seeing a golden cow. The old man also looked at Taurus Longjiao with a deep gaze. Lu Yiping smiled. "No." Then he added, "I stole it." "Stole it?" Both the young man and the old man were surprised. Taurus Longjiao smiled. "This grandpa is the one and only Taurus Longjiao in the world. I am the lord of myriad demons. Ancestor of the thunder god. Emperor of the dragon race. Here it comes again." After so many years, Taurus Longjiao's old habit still hadn't changed. In ancient times, Taurus Longjiao would introduce himself to almost everyone he met, using the same words and the same tone. The old man and the young man were stunned. Lu Yiping smiled at the old man and the young man. "This cow of mine loves to brag. Don't take it seriously." The young man smiled innocently. "I used to have a pet bull too. Its temperament is quite similar to yours." "What about your pet bull?" Taurus Longjiao asked. The young man's face was filled with sorrow. "He's dead. He was killed by people from the Paradise sect a few days ago." Taurus Longjiao almost choked. They sat around the bonfire and started chatting. From the conversation with the old man and the young man, Lu Yiping found out that the master and disciple duo were heading to the celestial capital. The Wan clan was building a new legion, and the two of them were going there to apply and participate in the assessment. "Master Lu is also going to the celestial capital?" Old man Li Bin smiled. "Then, shall we go together tomorrow?" The Wan clan's headquarters was in the celestial capital. Lu Yiping said, "That's fine too." The young man, Yang Gang, asked, "Master Lu, are you also going to apply for the assessment of the Wan clan's new legion?" Lu Yiping was taken aback. He smiled and said, "That's not it." He then said to Old Man Li Bin, "You and your disciples' foundation and battle strength are not bad. It shouldn't be a problem for you to take the Wan clan's new legion." Li Bin was in the ancient emperor realm, and although Yang Gang was in the Violet Palace realm, he had the Titan Giant's bloodline. Although the Titan Giant's bloodline was a little thin, it wasn't a problem for him to sweep through ordinary experts in the same realm. The Titan Giant was a very powerful race in ancient times. As for Li Bin, his blood qi was like the sea, and his internal organs contained the energy of the 5 elements. It was obvious that he had swallowed 5 elemental treasures and cultivated a good cultivation technique. Even if the two of them joined the Wan clan's new legion, they would definitely pass the assessment. Hearing this, Old Man Li Bin smiled brightly and said, "Thank you for your kind words, Master Lu." After a pause, he continued, "If Master Lu participates in the Wan clan's new legion recruitment, I'm sure he'll pass with a 100% success rate." Taurus Longjiao, who was eating barbecued meat, quickly swallowed the meat in his mouth and grinned, "You want our master to be a soldier for the Wan clan? Even if our master is willing, the Wan clan wouldn't dare to accept him." At this time, it was raining heavily outside. Suddenly, someone pushed the door open and entered. The door of the temple was already a little shabby, and when it was pushed by the other party, the door swayed with a clang, as if it was about to fall apart. It was a large group of people. The leader of the group was a man and a woman. The man was handsome and extraordinary, and the woman was very delicate and pretty. Behind them was a large group of guards. When Old Man Li Bin saw the large group of guards, his face changed. These were the Wan clan's guards. This man and woman were the Wan clan's core disciples. Only the Wan clan's core disciples were qualified to bring along the Wan clan's special guards. After entering, the man's eyes swept over Lu Yiping's group, then he smiled at the woman, "Sister Lian, let's go sit over there." The woman nodded. The two of them walked over to the bonfire. The man said to Li Bin and Lu Yiping, "Do you mind if we sit down?" Although his words were polite, he didn't wait for Li Bin and Lu Yiping to open their mouths and sat down casually. The woman also sat down. The man approached Lu Yiping and sat down. Feeling the space was too small, he said to Lu Yiping, "Brat, get up and sit on the opposite side." His tone was commanding. It seemed like he had been in a high position for a long time and was used to ordering his subordinates. Lu Yiping's expression was indifferent. "What if I don't get up?" The man was stunned, then he laughed. "Brat, I'm already being polite by asking you to get up and sit on the opposite side. It's raining heavily outside, I haven't asked you to scram yet." At this time, Taurus Longjiao's palms slapped over, sending the man flying out of the dilapidated temple. The woman had just sat down when she saw the man being sent flying out of the temple by Taurus Longjiao. She was dumbfounded. Everything happened so suddenly that none of the Wan clan's guards expected Taurus Longjiao to make a move. "You're all courting death." One of the Wan clan's guards was enraged. He brandished the saber in his hand, slashing at Taurus Longjiao. The other guards also made their move. This time, Taurus Longjiao did not make a move. Instead, Zhao Wen snorted coldly. Lightning surged out from his body, turning into a shocking lightning dragon. The Wan clan's guards were sent flying by the lightning dragon. In the temple, only the sound of burning wood could be heard. The woman's expression changed. Taurus Longjiao stared at the woman. She stood up in shock and flew out of the temple like a bird startled by the twang of a bow. The Wan clan's guards who were blasted out of the temple also fled with the Wan clan's disciples. Old man Li Bin opened his mouth and smiled bitterly. "Master Lu, you've caused trouble just now. That man and woman should be Wan clan's core disciples, and that group of guards should be Wan clan's guards. So what if they're Wan clan's core disciples?" Taurus Longjiao laughed. "We've even blasted the Wan clan's patriarch." Old man Li Bin was stunned, then laughed. "Brother Xiao Jin is joking." He hesitated, then cupped his fists and said, "Brother Lu, we still have some matters to attend to, so we'll take our leave first." Lu Yiping nodded. Old man Li Bin was obviously afraid that if they continued to stay with him, the Wan clan's disciples would misunderstand and be implicated. Hence, old man Li Bin led his disciple Yanggang out of the temple, disappearing into the rain in the blink of an eye. After old man Li Bin left, Lu Yiping suddenly spoke to the void in the distance. "You've been following us all this time, it's time to come out." Chapter 56. The other party didn't seem to have expected Lu Yiping to discover him. After a while, a sloppy old man riding on a donkey descended from the sky. This sloppy old man was the old man Lu Yiping had met in the 100 Flowers Plains, Zhou Cheng. The sloppy old man, Zhou Cheng, rode his donkey into the dilapidated temple. He jumped off the donkey and said to Lu Yiping with a smile, "I didn't expect that even after I used the phantom evasion technique, I still couldn't fool young Master Lu." Lu Yiping's expression remained the same. Back then, even the Phantom Demon King couldn't escape from him using the phantom evasion technique, much less this old man Zhou Cheng. This old man Zhou Cheng might be very powerful in the current Eternity Plane, but compared to the Phantom Demon King of the past, he was still far from it. Lu Yiping glanced at the sloppy old man Zhou Cheng and said, "What's the matter?" Actually, Zhou Cheng had been following them ever since they left the 100 Flowers Empire. However, Lu Yiping couldn't be bothered to pay attention to him. Zhou Cheng grinned, revealing his yellow teeth. Then, he sat beside the bonfire and rubbed his hands. "Actually, it's nothing big. Just a small matter." As for what small matter, he didn't say. However, Lu Yiping didn't ask and continued to roast the meat. Taurus Longjiao stared at the donkey and smiled. "I say, little guy, are you selling this donkey? I just happen to be in need of a mount." Just like Lu Yiping, he had long noticed that this donkey was extraordinary and was drooling over it. Zhou Cheng had a strange expression when he heard this. In his mind, he imagined an ox riding a donkey. However, the donkey glared at Taurus Longjiao and said, "Are you selling your fur?" Taurus Longjiao was taken aback. He glared and said, "Hey, you little donkey, you have quite a temper." He then added, "Do you believe that I won't pluck all your hair right now and roast you?" Zhou Cheng ignored the bickering between the two beasts. He smiled at Lu Yiping and said, Master Lu, do you still have that wine? He looked rather embarrassed. Lu Yiping looked at him with a smile that was not a smile. Of course I do. Do you still have jade? He was referring to dragon jade. Unexpectedly, Zhou Qing nodded and said with a smile, I have another piece. Then he took out a piece of jade that was exactly the same as the one he gave to Lu Yiping. Lu Yiping was surprised. He had just asked casually. He didn't expect Zhou Qing to actually have another piece. There were a total of 5 pieces of Dragon Han jade, and this Zhou Qing actually had 2. Lu Yiping took out a jar of wine and threw it to the other party. Zhou Qing took the wine and couldn't wait to open it. Only then did he throw the jade to Lu Yiping. After throwing the jade to Lu Yiping, Zhou Qing leaned close to the lid of the wine jar and took a deep sniff. His saliva flowed and his face was intoxicated. He wanted to drink but couldn't bear to. Lu Yiping saw that Zhou Qing was drooling but couldn't bear to drink. He smiled and said, Don't tell me you finished your jar. It had only been a few days. Zhou Qing smiled and said, No, no. How could I bear to finish such a good wine? I only drink a small sip every day. Just a small sip. He emphasized a small sip twice. But from the looks of it, it was definitely not just a small sip every day. Lu Yiping smiled and said, Do you still have more of this jade? Although Dragon Han jade was a treasure, it was only useful when all 5 pieces were gathered. Zhou Qing shook his head and said with a serious face, I only have 2 pieces. I really don't have any more this time. Lu Yiping stared at the other party, Where did you find this jade? Zhou Qing giggled and said, Does this count as a transaction? Lu Yiping took out another jar of wine and opened it. Instantly, the fragrance of wine filled the entire rundown temple and even overflowed outside. Even the heavy rain outside couldn't wash away this wine fragrance. Zhou Cheng's eyes widened as he stared at the jar of wine in front of Lu Yiping. His eyes burned with passion and his breathing became different. The wine in front of Lu Yiping had a stronger wine fragrance. It was obvious that it was older than the 2 jars he had. Lu Yiping had stayed in the sacred forest for countless years. Other than cultivating, he had been brewing wine. Every 10,000 years, he would brew a batch. Although the ingredients were the same, the age was different. Therefore, the taste was different. The older the wine, the more fragrant it was. Lu Yiping said, This jade has 5 pieces. If you tell me where you found it and help me find the remaining 5 pieces, this jar of wine is yours. The 2 jars you have are 200,000 years old, and this jar is 400,000 years old. 400,000 years old. Zhou Qing swallowed hard. He stared fixedly at the jar of wine, but after a long time, he smiled bitterly and said, It's not that I don't want to tell young master the location of the other 3 pieces of jade. It's because I found this jade in the Phantom Demon King's abode. The abode does not have the other 3 pieces. However, he suddenly added, However, there are some places in the Phantom Demon King's abode that I can't enter. Maybe there are some inside. The Phantom Demon King was a powerful ancient demon king. The abode was covered in layers of restrictions, and Zhou Qing could only break a small part of it. Oh! Lu Yiping's eyes lit up at Zhou Cheng's words. I'll tell you where the Phantom Demon King's abode is, but I want 2 jars of 400,000 years old. Zhou Qing stuttered, Moreover, if you have a way to enter other places in the Phantom Demon King's abode, other than the other 3 pieces of jade, I want 1/3 of the other treasures. Lu Yiping looked at Zhou Qing and smiled, Aren't you afraid that I'll capture you and search your soul? Zhou Cheng's wrinkled face twitched, and he smiled, Master Lu must be joking. Master Lu is not that kind of person. Lu Yiping smiled and said, Then tell me, what kind of person am I? Zhou Qing stuttered for a long time, but couldn't say anything. Lu Yiping didn't make things difficult for Zhou Qing, and threw the 2 jars of 400,000 years old wine to him. Zhou Cheng's face was filled with joy, and he put away the 3 jars of wine like they were treasures. Then, he told Lu Yiping a place. Lu Yiping was surprised. The Phantom Demon King's abode was actually at that place. However, Zhou Qing didn't leave after getting the wine. Instead, he sat by the bonfire, eating barbecued meat and drinking wine with Lu Yiping. Of course, he drank in small mouthfuls. Lu Yiping drank in big mouthfuls. The donkey also sat by the bonfire, nibbling on the barbecued meat. The donkey was very skinny, as if it was malnourished. It ate the barbecued meat absent-mindedly, like a sissy. The Taurus Longjiao, on the other hand, was chewing until its mouth was covered in oil. It was very manly. "You're not leaving?" Lu Yiping asked Zhou Cheng. Zhou Cheng smiled and said, "I'm roaming the world anyway, and it's very boring to be alone. Why not follow young master? It'll be livelier to have someone to keep me company, and I can run errands for young master in the future." Lu Yiping grunted. He obviously knew what Zhou Cheng was planning, but since he wanted to follow, he didn't mind. The night slowly faded. The rain stopped. In the morning after the rain, the air was especially fresh. Lu Yiping, Taurus Longjiao, and the others left the temple, and continued on their way towards the Wan family. Chapter 57. Lu Yiping put away the chariot and rode on the Taurus Longjiao. The ox was very fat, while the sloppy old man, Zhou Cheng, rode on the donkey. The donkey was very thin and small. The two of them rode side by side on the mountain road. Zhang Jin and Zhao Wen followed behind them on their two Thunder Kirin horses. Zhou Cheng looked at the Taurus Longjiao's unusually thick leg and smiled at Lu Yiping. "This ox of yours often eats roasted meat. No wonder it's so thick." The Taurus Longjiao chuckled. "I was born with it." Then, it raised its thick leg and showed off the powerful beef on it. "What, are you jealous?" The donkey didn't like the Taurus Longjiao and pursed its lips. "It looks good, but it's useless. Who would be jealous of this thing?" The Taurus Longjiao sneered. "Do you think someone as skinny as you is only good-looking but useless?" Immediately, the donkey and the ox glared at each other. Lu Yiping smiled and didn't stop them. It was rare for the donkey and the Taurus Longjiao to bicker, so the journey wasn't so boring. Seeing the two beasts bickering, Zhou Cheng smiled at Lu Yiping. "Master Lu, your ox is quite interesting." Lu Yiping smiled. The group continued on their journey. Not long after, they passed through this barren mountain range. However, not long after they passed through the wilderness, they heard the sound of fighting. They got closer. Lu Yiping was surprised to see that the fighting was between Li Bin and Yang Gang, who had left the ruined temple last night. The two of them were surrounded by a group of experts in red robes. The red robes worn by this group of experts were very beautiful. Paradise Chapter. Zhou Cheng looked at the group of experts in red robes and curled his lips. This group of things that are neither men nor women. The Paradise sect was quite famous on the Shenwu continent, and their strength was on par with the Soaring Flower sect. However, the Paradise sect was much more famous than the Soaring Flower sect. The reason for this was simple: all of the disciples of the Paradise sect cultivated a technique called the Paradise Tome. After cultivating the Paradise Tome, their bodily functions would undergo a drastic change, and they would become neither male nor female. Although Li Bin and Yang Gang weren't weak, they were surrounded by dozens of experts from the Paradise chapter and were in dire straits. Both of them had many wounds on their bodies. This was especially true for Yang Gang, who had a chest wound that revealed his bones. Li Bin, who was surrounded by the people from the Paradise chapter, suddenly saw someone approaching from afar. He couldn't help but feel hopeful and shouted, "Master Lu! Master Lu, please, save my disciple!" Lu Yiping signaled to Zhang Jin with his eyes. Zhang Jin understood, but he didn't make a move himself. The Thunder Qilin horse beneath him opened its mouth, and divine lightning fell from the sky. Immediately, the dozens of experts from the Paradise chapter surrounding Li Bin were all sent flying by the divine lightning. Li Bin was stunned. He hadn't expected Lu Yiping's mount to be so powerful. One had to know that there were two ancient emperors among the experts who had surrounded him. Moreover, they were both 7th-level ancient emperors. After recovering from his shock, Li Bin hurriedly brought his disciple Yanggang over to Lu Yiping's side. When they arrived in front of Lu Yiping, Li Bin and his disciple cupped their fists gratefully. "Thank you, Master Lu, for saving us." Lu Yiping nodded. With a flick of his finger, 9 reincarnation needles flew out and pierced into Yanggang's chest. A burst of fiery red light appeared, and Yanggang felt a warm sensation in his chest. Waves of warmth flowed throughout his body, and his injuries healed at an astonishing speed. Even the wound on his chest healed continuously. With Lu Yiping's strength, there were many ways to heal Yanggang's injuries in an instant. However, he was used to using the reincarnation needles in the ancient times. Until now, he had maintained this habit. Soul returning 9 yang needles. Li Bin exclaimed, "Master Lu is from the Medicine King Hall." Zhou Cheng was also surprised. This Lu Yiping actually had the soul returning 9 yang needles from the Medicine King Hall. Could he be from the Medicine King Hall? The Paradise Chapter's expert who had been sent flying by the Thunder Qilin horse crawled up. He was originally furious, but when he saw the soul returning 9 yang needles, he was shocked. The Medicine King Hall healed the wounded and healed the dying. In the Hengyuan Plain, they had a good relationship with all the major sections. Their prestige was second only to the Great Celestial Sect. Even the Martial God Hall's reputation was slightly inferior to the Medicine King Hall. Seeing that Li Bin and the others had misunderstood him as someone from the Medicine King Hall, Lu Yiping was too lazy to explain. Seeing that Yanggang's injuries had recovered, he retrieved the reincarnation needles. "How do you feel?" Lu Yiping asked Yanggang. Lu Yiping had a pretty good impression of this simple-minded young man, Yanggang. Yanggang circulated his true yuan, and his true yuan flowed smoothly. He smiled foolishly and said, "Master Lu is really a divine doctor. I'm completely healed." At this time, an ancient emperor realm leader of the Paradise Chapter endured his injuries and stepped forward. He mustered up his courage and cupped his fists towards Lu Yiping. "May I ask if young master is from the Medicine King Hall?" He continued, "These two were ordered to be captured by our extreme ancestor." The extreme ancestor was one of the 2 strongest ancestors in the Paradise Chapter. Lu Yiping looked at him indifferently, and the ancient emperor realm leader of the Paradise Chapter hesitated, not daring to continue. "Let's go," Lu Yiping said to Taurus Longjiao. None of the Paradise Chapter's experts dared to stop them. They watched as Lu Yiping led Li Bin and Yanggang away. "Elder, those 2 were ordered to be captured by the extreme ancestor. If we return empty-handed, the extreme ancestor will fly into a rage." One of the Paradise Chapter's experts stuttered. Everyone shuddered at the thought of the extreme ancestor flying into a rage. The ancient Emperor Realm expert's face turned ugly as he said, "The Medicine King Hall's people interfered. If the extreme ancestor finds out, he won't punish us." At the same time, he was bewildered. However, there are only a few people from the Medicine King Hall who know the 9 yang returning needle. This young man is definitely not one of them. How can he know the 9 yang returning needle? At this point, he turned to one of the Paradise Chapter's experts and said, "Check if this young man is really from the Medicine King Hall." After leaving, Li Bin followed behind Lu Yiping with an embarrassed expression. He said to Lu Yiping, "Master Lu, about what happened last night, it's not your fault." Lu Yiping shook his head. The group continued to make stops along the way. They occasionally rested along the way. On the 3rd day, the Tian capital was in sight. The Tian capital was located at the peak of Shenwu continent's tallest mountain, Sun Moon Peak. It was the continent's #1 city. Lu Yiping and the others stood in the air and looked at the city. At the peak of Sun Moon Peak, the Tian capital was shrouded in clouds and mist. It was as ethereal as a celestial city. Even from a great distance, they could still feel the Tian capital's majestic aura. High up in the sky, spacecraft and war chariots from Shenwu continent and even other continents were flying towards the Tian capital from all directions. After stopping for a while, Lu Yiping and the others also flew towards the Tian capital. The closer they got to the Tian capital, the more they could feel the city's size and majesty. All around the city, there were teams of soldiers from the Wan clan patrolling the area. Lu Yiping rode on a Taurus Longjiao and entered the city with Zhou Cheng and the others. Chapter 58. Zhou Cheng was riding on his little donkey, holding a wine gourd in his hand as he poured wine into his mouth. This wine was brewed by him, he couldn't bear to drink Lu Yiping's wine. In his words, Lu Yiping's wine should be drunk with Lu Yiping when they were eating barbecued meat. Lu Yiping was riding a golden bull, looking very handsome, while Zhou Cheng was riding a little donkey, looking very sloppy. The two of them walked side by side, attracting the attention of many passers-by. Zhou Cheng ignored the strange gazes of the passers-by, pouring wine into his mouth as he said, "Rumor has it that this sky capital city was built by the Lord of Myriad Gods. In the past, the Lord of Myriad Gods issued orders here, commanding the gods to fight for him. Every brick in this sky capital city is made from ancient fine granite." This was the first time Yang Gang had heard of such a thing. He looked at the bricks on the street with amazement. "These bricks are all ancient objects?" Zhou Cheng nodded, "That's right. Don't look at these bricks as if they're ordinary bricks. Every brick in this sky capital city has been blessed by the ancient god's god force. Moreover, rumor has it that supreme existence had also blessed the sky capital city with god force. This sky capital city also has that supreme existence's imprint on it. Because of this, the sky capital city has been able to endure for countless years without decay." Speaking of that supreme existence, Zhou Cheng's face was filled with reverence, excitement, and worship. That supreme existence? Li Bin didn't know who Zhou Cheng was referring to. Zhou Cheng stopped pouring wine into his mouth, his face solemn as he slowly said, "Holy forest. Holy forest." When Zhou Cheng said those words, the surroundings fell silent. Li Bin's face changed greatly, but he didn't dare to speak, because that supreme existence was a taboo in the Hengyuan plain. But Yang Gang was puzzled, asking, "Holy forest? Is it the holy forest at the end of the everlasting dynasty?" Usually, no one dared to talk about the holy forest. Yang Gang hadn't cultivated for long, so he hadn't heard anything about the holy forest. Li Bin was startled, his face stern as he shouted, "Li Gang, shut up." Lu Yiping, on the other hand, was calm. While Lu Yiping's group was walking, inside the Tiandu city, a Wan family guard saw Lu Yiping's group and was stunned for a moment before turning around and running towards the Wan family army camp. This Wan clan guard was one of the Wan clan guards who had been blasted out of the dilapidated temple by Zhao Wen. At this time, the core disciple of the Wan family, Wan Bai, was drinking alone in the army barracks. These days, whenever he thought of the scene where he was slapped out of the dilapidated temple by that cow, he would be furious. As a core disciple of the Wan clan and the vice commander of the Wan clan army, this was the first time he had suffered such humiliation. Furthermore, he was slapped by a cow in front of the Wan family's guards and guards. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. He suddenly clenched his fist and crushed the wine cup in his hand into powder. Right at this moment, the Wan clan's guard ran in anxiously. "Lord Vice Commander, I saw that blue-robed young man just now," the Wan clan's guard said excitedly. "Blue-robed young man?" Wan Bai couldn't react in time. "That blue-robed young man from the dilapidated temple," the Wan clan's guard reminded. Wan Bai was overjoyed hearing that. "You're saying that blue-robed young man came to the Tiandu city?" The Wan clan's guard quickly replied, "Yes, Lord Vice Commander, and that cow." Wan Bai's eyes glinted coldly, "Gather everyone for me. I want to cut off that cow piece by piece. And that blue-robed brat, I want to tie him up on the execution ground in front of the Tiandu city's gates and slowly play with him." While Wan Bai was gathering the Wan clan's guards, Li Bin cupped his fists at Lu Yiping. "Master Lu, we'll go to the Wan clan's new army to register and participate in the assessment." Go. Lu Yiping said. "After the assessment, Li Bin will hold a banquet to thank Master Lu for saving my life." Li Bin said gratefully, then saluted his disciple Yang Gang before leaving. Zhou Cheng looked at Yanggang's departing figure, saying, "Pity, the Titan giant's bloodline is too thin." Then, he grinned at Lu Yiping, that, "Master Lu, I also have some matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first. Let's meet at the Tiandu City Inn later." Lu Yiping nodded. Thus, Zhou Cheng also left on the little donkey. After Zhou Cheng left, Lu Yiping looked in the direction of the Wan clan's headquarters. The Wan clan's headquarters was located at the center of the Tiandu city, and it was also the residence of the myriad god sovereign. Lu Yiping rode the Taurus Longjiao to the Wan clan's headquarters. Soon, he arrived at the Wan clan's headquarters. In front of the Wan clan's headquarters, Lu Yiping looked at the two strange stone statues in front of the building, and his heart was filled with mixed emotions. After so many years, he had finally returned to this place. When the Wan clan's headquarters guards saw a blue-robed young man standing in front of the entrance staring at the strange stone statues without any intention of leaving, one of the guards stepped forward and said, "You can't stay in front of the Wan clan's headquarters, quickly leave." Lu Yiping glanced at the Wan clan's guard and said indifferently, "I am Lu Yiping, tell your patriarch that I'm here." Lu Yiping. The Wan clan's guard froze for a second, then fled in a panic. He ran back into the Wan clan's headquarters, nearly crashing into the main entrance. The other Wan clan's guards who stayed behind were trembling in fear, their eyes fixed on Lu Yiping. They gripped the spears in their hands so tightly that their knuckles turned white. Lu Yiping's expression was calm as usual. Soon, figures flickered inside the Wan clan's headquarters. A series of footsteps sounded. A group of Wan clan's experts rushed out from the Wan clan's residence. Leading the group was the Wan clan's patriarch, Wan Cheng. Behind Wan Cheng was the Wan clan's young lord, Wan Hong, and a group of Wan clan's grand elders and elders. At first, the Wan clan's patriarch, Wan Cheng, was discussing the matter of the heavenly god river's reverse flow with his son, Wan Cheng, and the others. When a Wan clan's guard came in to report that Lu Yiping had arrived, Wan Cheng jumped in fright. In a fluster, he summoned all the grand elders and elders in the residence. When he came out, he also sent someone to report to all the ancestors in the ancestral land. Taurus Longjiao's mouth twitched when he saw the Wan clan's patriarch Wan Cheng rushing out from the Wan clan's residence. Wan Cheng looked at Lu Yiping who was sitting on the Taurus Longjiao, and his heart skipped a beat. He cupped his fists and forced a smile. "Master Lu, you've graced us with your presence. Wan Cheng has failed to welcome you from afar." "There's no need to welcome me from afar. Didn't Wan Wudi want to see me? Bring me to him," Lu Yiping said nonchalantly. Hearing Lu Yiping directly address their Wan clan's ancestor Wan Wudi by name, the Wan clan's grand elders and elders were enraged. The Wan clan's patriarch, Wan Cheng, frowned, but he suppressed the displeasure in his heart and nodded stiffly. "Master Lu, please follow me." Then, he added, "But Master Lu, my father said that he will only see you, so I don't think this pet bull of yours needs to enter the ancestral land." How could the Wan clan's ancestral land be a place where a bull could enter as he wished? Lu Yiping glanced at the Wan clan's patriarch Wan Cheng. "What if I insist on bringing Shao Jin in?" Chapter 59. The head of the Wan family, Wan Cheng, was extremely unhappy. An ancestor who had rushed over from the Wan family's ancestral land heard this and his face sank. Lu Yiping had come to Tian capital, to the Wan family's main residence, and yet he dared to act so arrogantly in front of them. When he arrived, his face sank as he said to Lu Yiping, "Lu Yiping, my ancestor is the master of the Shinwu continent. It is your great honor to meet you. Even the Big Dipper Emperor, Zhou Dingtian, can't meet our ancestor. Do you think that your pet bull has the right to do so?" At this moment, Taurus Longjiao grinned and stomped on the ground with its thick bull leg. Boom! The entire Tian capital seemed to have suffered a heaven-shaking blow, and it shook violently as if it would fall from the peak of Sun Moon Mountain at any moment. Powerhouses from all over the city were strolling, drinking, and chatting when the city suddenly shook violently. Everyone was shocked and stopped what they were doing. The Wan family's head, Wan Cheng, and the rest were all sent flying by the invisible shockwave, including the Wan family's ancestor. Taurus Longjiao snorted at the head of the Wan family, Wan Cheng. If not for my master giving face to Wan Beibei, Wan Wudi wouldn't even have the right to kneel in front of him. How dare you say that it's your honor to meet my master? Do you think that my master is someone that anyone can meet just because they want to? Zhou Dingtian. Who does Zhou Dingtian think he is? How can he compare to this ancestor? Wan Wudi. Who does Wan Wudi think he is? No matter how big his bird is, it's still trash in front of this ancestor. This ancestor can blow his bird apart with a single breath. Taurus Longjiao's voice was very loud, and it spread to every corner of the Wan family's ancestral land and even to the sky above Tian capital. Everyone in the city looked at each other in dismay. Many of the family's experts were stunned. Who is this? One of the family heads stuttered. There was actually someone who dared to say that he could blow away the master of the Xinwu continent, Lord Wan Wudi, with a single breath. At this time, a dignified voice rang out from the ancestral land. Invite Master Lu in. It was Wan Wudi's voice. The Wan family's patriarch, Wan Cheng, and the rest of the Wan family's patriarchs crawled to their feet, looking at Taurus Longjiao in shock and anger. Master Lu, please. The Wan family's patriarch, Wan Cheng, had mixed feelings as he spoke. Taurus Longjiao laughed coldly. What? That junior Wan Wudi is too ashamed to meet my master. Tell him to come out personally. How dare you? At this time, within the Wan family's ancestral land, Wan Wudi's voice rang out once more. His voice shook the entire Tiandu city. Anyone could hear that Wan Wudi was enraged. A golden fist shot out from the Wan clan's ancestral ground, heading straight for Taurus Longjiao and Lu Yiping. This golden fist was burning with golden flames. The golden fist tore through the air, and everywhere it passed, space trembled. The terrifying power that could destroy heaven and earth made everyone in Tiandu city terrified. This is the power of a god. Lord Wan Wudi has broken through to the heavenly god realm. Within the city, an ancestor cried out in alarm. Out of 10,000 gods, it was difficult for one to break through to become a true god, and for a true god to break through to become a god was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Of the Hengyuan Plain's top 10 experts, only the top 3 were true gods. How difficult was it to break through to the celestial realm? Even Wan Wudi, the master of Xinwu continent, had only been a peak late-stage true god. Taurus Longjiao sneered as he looked at the gold flame divine fist. He opened his mouth and blew. Suddenly, the gold flame divine fist, which was as powerful as a mountain, exploded in midair. When the gold flame divine fist exploded, its destructive power swept across the land. The Wan family's experts fled in fear. Even Wan Cheng, the Wan family's patriarch, fled in fear. When he fled, he looked around and saw that all the buildings near the Wan family's main residence had been reduced to dust. Wan Cheng looked at Taurus Longjiao, his heart in turmoil. It had really exploded in one breath. Was this bull a celestial? The bull Lu Yiping was sitting on was actually a celestial. Just like his father, it was a supreme celestial. The Wan family's experts were even more terrified. Inside the ancestral land, Wan Wudi, who had just attacked, was pushed back several miles by the power of the golden flame divine fist. Wan Wudi stopped, his face full of shock and disbelief. Suddenly, the space above the Wan family's ancestral land was torn apart by an invisible force. A blue-robed youth riding a golden bull descended from the sky. Wan Wudi forcefully suppressed the shock in his heart. The other 70 or so ancestors of the Wan family nervously gathered behind Wan Wudi, looking at Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao as if they were facing a great enemy. Lu Yiping looked at Wan Wudi indifferently. You wanted me to come to the Wan family's ancestral land because you wanted to use the ancestral root's power to suppress me and obtain the true copy of the gold flame divine fist? I allow you to use the ancestral root's power, and all of you can attack together. As long as you can take a punch with 1/1000th of my strength, I'll give you the true copy. Wan Wudi's face turned ugly hearing this. What did this Lu Yiping just say? A punch with 1/1000th of his strength. Juan Woody sucked in a deep breath, suppressing the anger in his heart. Fine, we'll take a punch with 1/1000th of your strength. With that said, Juan Woody flew to the center of the ancestral land. A bright light shone from his body as heavenly god realm energy poured out from his body. The other Juan family's ancestors also gathered behind Juan Woody. Using a secret technique, they poured their god force into Juan Woody's body. With all the Juan family's ancestors' god force pouring into him, Juan Woody's body glowed even brighter, like a golden Buddha. Juan Woody and the others' god force poured into the Juan family's ancestral land like destructive waves. Under the guidance of Juan Woody and the others' god force, a surge of energy rushed out from the depths of the ancestral land. The Juan family's ancestral roots power was finally awakened by Juan Woody and the others. Wave after wave of Juan family's ancestral roots power poured out endlessly, pouring into Juan Woody's body. With the Juan family's ancestors' god force pouring into him, Juan Woody's aura was already rising steadily. Now that he had the Juan family's ancestral roots power, his aura skyrocketed. In the end, Juan Woody's aura reached a peak. Only then did Lu Yiping punch out. It was the same Golden Flame's fist. However, when Lu Yiping punched out, millions of rays of light gathered in the Golden Flame's fist. Juan Woody and the others had never seen such a resplendent Golden Flame's fist. Ancestral roots power. Break for me. Juan Woody punched out madly in fear. The Juan family's primordial ancestors' power and the Juan family's ancestors' god force gathered in his fists as he met Lu Yiping's Golden Flame's fist head-on. Boom! With a loud explosion, heaven and earth shook. The Juan family's ancestral land twitched violently. Chapter 60. In the end, Juan Woody and the rest failed to break through Lu Yiping's Golden Flame fist. Lu Yiping's Golden Flame fist tore through Juan Woody and the Juan family's ancestors like a hot knife through butter. The fist did not stop there, plowing through the space above the Juan family's ancestral land for several hundred li before it finally stopped. Even so, the space where the fist tore through was still trembling, and the Golden Flame still lingered in the air. Lu Yiping's Golden Flame Divine Fist's power seemed to be imprinted in the air forever. Juan Woody was sent flying, slumping to the ancestral land's ground, covered in blood. He stared at Lu Yiping with disbelief and shock in his eyes. He joined forces with more than 71 families' ancestors' strength and the Juan family's ancestral roots power, yet he still failed to block Lu Yiping's fist. He found it hard to believe. Who are you? He looked at Lu Yiping in fear. Was this Lu Yiping really from the Jiutian continent? Lu Yiping did not answer. He slowly walked over, and with a wave of his hand, the Juan family's ancestral roots power gushed out from the ground. The ancestral roots power turned into flying dragons, circling around Lu Yiping. Juan Woody and the Juan family's ancestors' eyes widened in shock. You can actually control my Juan family's ancestral roots power? Juan Woody exclaimed in shock. Wasn't their Juan family's ancestral roots power something that only the Juan family's patriarchs knew how to control? Moreover, only those with the Juan family's bloodline could control the Juan family's ancestral roots power. Neither could be missing. This Lu Yiping, an outsider, could actually control their Juan family's ancestral roots power. Lu Yiping said nonchalantly, "It's just the Juan family's ancestral roots power." He casually raised his hand, and the Tiandu city trembled. Rays of divine light soared to the sky. The sky above Tiandu city was filled with the light of the gods. Everyone in the city was forced to prostrate themselves on the ground, including Zhou Cheng and his donkey. Even Juan Woody and the ancestors of the Juan clan were forced to prostrate themselves on the ground. Juan Woody, along with the other patriarchs of the Juan clan, was lying on the ground, their eyes filled with shock. Not only was Lu Yiping able to control their Juan clan's ancestral root power, but he was also able to control the celestial capital's myriad god power. The celestial capital was created by the master of myriad gods. Inside the city, the master of myriad gods and the gods under his command reinforced the divine power. Other than the master of myriad gods, no one in the future could control the divine power of the celestial capital. Even he, the master of the Shinwu continent, could not do so. He had studied it bitterly for countless years, but to no avail. However, Lu Yiping was able to activate the power of the myriad gods in Tiandu City with just a wave of his hand. Within Tiandu City, the sloppy Zhou Cheng, who had been forced to prostrate under the pressure of the gods, was shocked. Could it be that Wan Wudi has finally comprehended the celestial capital's secret? He has activated the power of the myriad gods in the city. The experts of the Luo, Yun, and Chen families all cried out in alarm, "Quick, report to the patriarch. Wan Wudi has already gained control of the celestial capital's myriad gods." Wan Wudi gaining control of the celestial capital's myriad gods was a huge matter for the Shinwu continent and even the entire Hengyuan plain. Within Tiandu City, the power of the gods surged. Finally, it condensed into the souls of powerful ancient gods in the sky above the city. These ancient gods' souls all prostrated themselves before Lu Yiping, who was in the Wan clan's ancestral land. Outside the ancestral land, the other experts could not see that they were facing Lu Yiping, but within the ancestral land, Wan Wudi and the ancestors of the Wan clan were stunned. These ancient god souls were actually prostrating themselves before Lu Yiping. Why? Was it because Lu Yiping had gained control of the celestial capital's myriad gods? Even if Lu Yiping had gained control of the celestial capital's myriad gods' power, there was no need for these ancient god souls to prostrate themselves before Lu Yiping, right? Unless Lu Yiping was the master of myriad gods. However, the master of myriad gods had long since fallen. In that case, who was Lu Yiping? Who exactly are you? Wan Wudi trembled as he asked. Lu Yiping waved his hand, and all of the divine power in Tiandu City dissipated. All of the ancient gods' souls also gradually dissipated, and everything returned to normal. Only then did the pressure that had been weighing down on everyone's hearts disappear. Didn't your Wan clan's progenitor, Wan Beibei, tell you who taught her the gold flame god fist? Lu Yiping glanced at Wan Wudi with his hands behind his back. Our progenitor. Wan Wudi and the rest of the Wan clan's ancestors felt as if they were struck by lightning. You are. Wan Wudi's eyes widened in shock as he stared at Lu Yiping in disbelief. Could Lu Yiping be the progenitor? Lu Yiping tossed a token to Wan Wudi, but it wasn't the same token he had given to Yang Cheng at the Lei Kei Sword School. Wan Wudi caught the token, and when he saw the token clearly, his hands trembled. The token in his hands felt as heavy as a chaos mountain. The Wan clan's ancestors also saw the token clearly, and all of them trembled in fear. Wan clan's descendant, Wan Wudi, greets Lord. Wan Wudi's face was ashen as he prostrated himself on the ground, trembling with excitement, reverence, and fear. The Wan clan's ancestors didn't dare to hesitate, and they all prostrated themselves on the ground, not daring to breathe. Wan Wudi prostrated himself on the ground, and when he saw that Lu Yiping hadn't spoken for a long time, his forehead dripped with cold sweat. His voice trembled as he said, Wan Wudi didn't know that Lord had descended upon this world. I was blind to have offended Lord, and I deserve to die. After a long time, just when Wan Wudi thought that he was going to die, Lu Yiping's cold voice rang out. Get up. Wan Wudi was startled, and then he stood up. However, the Wan clan's ancestors didn't dare to stand up. Wan Beibei, when did you leave the eternity plane? Lu Yiping asked. Wan Wudi hadn't expected Lu Yiping to suddenly ask such a question, and his entire body tensed up. He hurriedly thought back and replied, Lord Progenitor left about 300,000 years ago. Lu Yiping then asked about Wan Beibei and Shinwu continent, as well as some other matters regarding the eternity plane. Outside, the Wan family's head, Wan Cheng, and young master, Wan Hong, did not know what was going on in the ancestral land, and they were all apprehensive. I wonder what's going on in the ancestral land right now. Wan Cheng frowned, deeply worried. Father, don't worry. With the support of our ancestral root, even Jiang Yu from the extreme celestial sect can only retreat. Young Master Wan Hong said. No matter how strong Lu Yiping and that bull are, they won't be a match for grandfather and the others. Wan Cheng recalled how Taurus Longjiao had destroyed the gold flame divine fist with a single breath, but he shook his head and didn't say anything. At this time, Wan Wudi's voice rang out from within the ancestral land. No one in the Wan family is allowed to spread what happened today. If anyone dares to mention a single word, I will personally execute the Wan family's laws. His voice was dignified and filled with killing intent. Everyone trembled and hurriedly acknowledged his words. Wan Cheng, Wan Hong, come in, Wan Wudi said. Wan Cheng was puzzled, but he and young Master Wan Hong entered the ancestral land together. As soon as they entered, they saw Lu Yiping from afar. They saw Wan Wudi and the Wan family's ancestors. But when they saw the Wan family's ancestors prostrating on the ground, their eyes widened. What was going on? Chapter 61. When Wan Wudi saw the two of them, he snapped, "What are you standing there for? Quickly come over and greet the Lord." Greet the Lord? Wan family patriarch Wan Cheng and young Lord Wan Hong were dumbfounded hearing Wan Wudi's thunderous reprimand. Lord? Lu Yiping. Wan Wudi harumphed coldly seeing the two of them still standing there in a daze. His sharp gaze pierced through the air, scaring the Wan family patriarch Wan Cheng and young Lord Wan Hong. Not daring to hesitate, they hurried over to Lu Yiping to greet Lu Yiping. Since Lu Yiping had removed the Tiandu city's 10,000 divinities god force, the Tiandu city's residents returned to normal. The Wan family's core disciple, Wan Bai, ordered his subordinates to investigate Lu Yiping's whereabouts. Vice Commander, we haven't found the blue-robed young man's whereabouts yet, but we found the old man and young man who were with them earlier. They are currently registering at our new division's registration location. It seems like they want to join our Wan family's new division. Wan Bai's subordinate replied. Registration for our Wan family's new division? Indifferent smile appeared on Wan Bai's face hearing that. Very well, we'll capture that old man and young man first, then we'll interrogate the blue-robed young man and the cow. Let's go to the new division's registration location. Wan family's core disciple, Wan Bai, led his subordinates to the new division's registration location. At this time, Li Bin and his disciple, Yang Gang, were in the middle of the Wan family's new division's assessment. Lu Yiping was right, Li Bin had indeed swallowed 5 elements treasures, thus his physique, blood qi, and blood qi were much stronger than experts of the same realm. Adding to that, his cultivation method was not bad, thus he had successfully passed the Wan family's new division's assessment. His disciple, Yang Gang, who possessed the Titan giant bloodline, also easily passed the Wan family's new division's assessment. Li Bin and his disciple, Yang Gang, stood in front of the ranking list. Seeing that both of their names were at the top of the list, both of them smiled happily. For each realm, as long as one could enter the top 100 in each batch's assessment, both of them were ranked in the top 10. Master, we passed the assessment. Yang Gang said with a silly grin on his face. Yes, we passed. Li Bin laughed heartily. Let's go to the Tiandu restaurant and make reservations early. Then, we'll invite Master Lu and the others to drink to their heart's content. Drink to our heart's content? At this time, an arrogant voice laughed, there's no need to go to the Tiandu restaurant. I'll accompany you to the execution ground in front of the Tiandu city gate to drink to your heart's content. Subsequently, Wan family's disciple Wan Bai led several hundred personal guards in their direction. When Li Bin saw clearly that it was Wan Bai, his expression changed. When the captain in charge of the assessment saw that it was Wan Bai, he quickly went up to him and said, "Greetings, Deputy Commander." Then he asked, "Deputy Commander, what are you doing?" When Li Bin heard that Wan Bai was a deputy commander, his heart sank again. Before they came, they had learned about the ranks of the Wan family army. From the lowest to the highest, they were squad leader, squadron leader, brigade leader, and above the brigade leader was the deputy commander. Vice commander, in the Wan family army, could be said to be a very high position. These two have offended me before. Wan Bai said to the captain in charge of the assessment, then turned to the personal guards behind him, "Arrest them and bring them away." Hearing Wan Bai's order, the captain in charge of the assessment had a difficult expression on his face. "Deputy Commander, these two have already passed the assessment. According to the rules, they are now soldiers of the new army. They have not committed any crime, yet you want to take them away like this this is not in accordance with the army's rules." Hearing this, Wanbai sneered and directly slapped the test team leader's face, causing him to stagger back several steps. "Who said they passed the assessment?" "I said they didn't pass, so they didn't pass." Indifferent Wanbai ordered, "Arrest them for me." The personal guards behind Wanbai charged at Li Bin and Yang Gang. Inside the Wan clan's ancestral land, Wan Wudi's voice trembled as he spoke to Lu Yiping. "Lord, since you've come out of seclusion, why don't you stay a little longer in the Wan clan? Let us, the younger generation of the Wan clan, serve you well on behalf of Lord Primal Ancestor." Lu Yiping glanced at Wan Wudi, saying indifferently, "This time, I will be staying in the Tiandu city for a few days." His trip to the Tiandu city wasn't just for the Wan family, he had other matters to attend to. When Wan Wudi heard this, he was wild with joy. He said, "Then I will have people prepare a banquet to welcome your excellency." "There's no need for a banquet." Lu Yiping said indifferently, "I've already made an appointment to the Tiandu Inn." "Tiandu Inn?" Wan Wudi was stunned, then said, "Then I'll have people tidy up Lord Primogenitor's courtyard for Lord to stay in." Lu Yiping said, "No need, I'll stay in the Myriad God's residence." Myriad God's residence? Wan Wudi was dumbfounded. The Myriad God's residence was the residence of the Myriad God sovereign in the past. It was also within the Wan family residence. However, the Myriad God's residence was heavily guarded with restrictions. Even the Wan family primogenitor, Wan Bebe, couldn't enter. However, Wan Wudi reacted quickly, respectfully replying, "Then I'll wait at the Myriad God's residence, waiting for Lord to return from the Tiandu Inn. At that time, if Lord has any questions, I'll be able to answer them." Lu Yiping didn't object, then left the Wan family's ancestral land with the Taurus Longjiao. Subsequently, Lu Yiping rode the Taurus Longjiao to the Wan family's new division's registration area. At this time, at the Wan family's new division's registration area, Li Bin and Yang Gang were captured. The two of them were glaring at Wan Bai and his subordinates. "That blue-robed young man and that cow, where are they now?" Indifferent, Wan Bai asked. Yang Gang glared at Wan Bai, "I don't know." "Don't know?" Wan Bai's gaze turned frosty, taking a step forward, his fist struck Yang Gang's dantian, shattering it. "Yang Gang!" Li Bin bellowed, "Stop! Master Lu is a Pil King Hall's disciple." Wan Bai was stunned, "Pil King Hall?" Then he sneered, "No wonder he dared to attack me." His face turned vicious, "But, so what if he's a Pil King Hall disciple?" "Even if he's a Pil King Hall disciple, I'll still cripple him." "Is that so?" A cold voice sounded. Li Bin and Yang Gang were delighted hearing this familiar voice. Looking over, they saw Lu Yiping riding the Taurus Longjiao coming from the end of the street. Behind him were Zhang Jin and Zhao Wen. When Wan Bai saw Lu Yiping and Lu Yiping's Taurus Longjiao, a vicious light flickered in his eyes as he walked towards Lu Yiping. Wan Bai stared fixedly at Lu Yiping, "Punk, you came at the right time." Then he looked at the Taurus Longjiao, "These past few days, I've been looking for you and your cow pet." Chapter 62. The Wan family's core disciple Wan Bai's eyes glinted fiercely, "Cripple them for me." The soldiers under his command rushed towards Lu Yiping. However, before these soldiers could reach Lu Yiping, a person suddenly rushed out from behind Lu Yiping. That person punched out, sending Wan Bai and the Wan family's soldiers flying. The person who attacked was the Wan family's ancestor, Wan Rong. This Wan Rong was of the same generation as Wan Wudi. Wan Wudi was afraid that someone inside the Tiandu city would disturb Lu Yiping, thus he sent Wan Rong to protect Lu Yiping from afar. The Wan family's ancestor Wan Rong, who was following behind Lu Yiping, almost lost his soul when he saw the Wan family's core disciple Wan Bai was about to attack Lu Yiping. How could he care about anything else? Miserable screams filled the air. Wan Bai fell into the crowd and found that his meridians and dantian were all shattered by the other party. He was furious, and his killing intent soared. His eyes were bloodshot as he glared at Wan Rong, "Who are you?" Wan Rong was of the same generation as Wan Wudi, and he hadn't left the Wan family's ancestral land for many years. Moreover, with Wan Bai's identity, it was difficult for him to meet Wan Rong, thus he didn't recognize Wan Rong. Wan Rong's face turned cold when he saw Wan Bai's bloodshot eyes glaring at him, asking him who he was. Another slap landed on Wan Bai's face. "I am your ancestor." Wan Bai was slapped into the crowd. The crowd was in chaos. At this time, footsteps could be heard as groups of Wan family's soldiers rushed over. Leading them was the Wan family's new legion's deputy commander. The deputy commander saw Wan Rong from afar and felt that Wan Rong looked familiar. When he got closer and saw that it was Wan Rong, his legs turned to jelly. He hurried to Wan Rong's side and bowed, "Ancestor Wan Rong. Why are you here?" Wan Bai, who was slapped into the crowd, stuttered, "Ancestor Wan Rong." This old man was really his ancestor. Li Bin, Yang Gang, and the Wan family's experts were dumbfounded. This silver-haired old man who suddenly attacked was the Wan family's ancestor Wan Rong. Wan Rong was the Wan family's number 2 expert. A peak late-stage true god. Even in the Hengyuan realm, he was famous. The Wan family's ancestor Wan Rong did not pay attention to the crowd. Instead, he turned around and approached Lu Yiping, bowing deeply. "Lord, these ignorant fools did not disturb Lord, did they?" Unknowingly, beads of cold sweat formed on his forehead. Seeing the Wan family's ancestor Wan Rong, who was second only to Wan Wudi, bow and address Lu Yiping as Lord, Wan Bai's mind went blank. Li Bin, Yang Gang, and the others were dumbfounded. Lu Yiping dismounted from the Taurus Longjiao's back and walked in front of Li Bin and Yang Gang. He raised his hand, and a green light surged from his finger. A green water droplet appeared on his finger, and a surging life force filled the air. Wan clan's old ancestor Wan Rong stared at the green droplet on Lu Yiping's finger in shock. Was this the origin energy of the ancient god of life? Life energy. With a tap of Lu Yiping's finger, that droplet of life energy fell into Yanggang's Dantian. In an instant, Yanggang's Dantian, which was shattered by the Wan family's core disciple, Wan Bai, began to heal. In the end, Yanggang could clearly feel that his Dantian was tougher and wider than before. "Many thanks, young noble." Yanggang gratefully thanked Huang Xiaolong. Lu Yiping nodded. As for Li Bin, his injuries were not serious. After swallowing a medicinal pellet, he recovered a lot. Only then did Lu Yiping speak to the Wan family's ancestor Wan Rong. "Since he's a Wan family disciple, your Wan family will be dealt with according to the Wan family's rules." Huang Xiaolong's voice was calm, but the Wan family's ancestor Wan Rong's heart tightened hearing Huang Xiaolong's words. He hurriedly complied, looking at the Wan family's core disciple Wan Bai as if he was looking at a dead man. Subsequently, Lu Yiping, Li Bin, Yang Gang, and the rest left the scene. After leaving the scene, Lu Yiping's group went to the Tiandu Inn. Li Bin followed closely behind Lu Yiping, guessing Lu Yiping's identity. Since Lu Yiping was from the Medicine King Hall, then, since the Wan family's ancestor Wan Rong was so respectful to him, could he be the Medicine King Hall's Lord Medicine King? Or the Medicine King Hall's ancestor Li? Only the Medicine King Hall's ancestor and ancestor Li could make the Wan family's ancestor Wan Rong act so respectfully. Legend had it that the Medicine King Hall's Medicine King had consumed a chaos divine herb. His appearance would remain forever young. While Li Bin was guessing, Lu Yiping spoke, "You don't need to guess, I'm not from the Medicine King Hall." Li Bin was stunned, scratching his head awkwardly. "I thought young noble was the Lord Medicine King." Taurus Longjiao laughed, "That whatever Medicine King, although his appearance is forever young, he's not as handsome as my master." Li Bin choked, he didn't know how to respond. An existence like the Medicine King Hall's Medicine King wasn't someone he could casually discuss. Not long after they arrived at the Sky Capital restaurant, they saw the sloppy old man, Zhou Cheng, riding his donkey over. However, just as they were about to enter the restaurant, Zhou Cheng and his donkey were stopped by the restaurant's waiter. Seeing this, Lu Yiping found it funny. In the end, it was Li Bin who went out and brought Zhou Cheng in. After entering, Zhou Cheng asked Lu Yiping, "Were you the one who fought with that brat Wan Wudi?" Li Bin was shocked when he heard this. The person who had caused such a huge commotion in Sky Capital and fought with the master of the Shinwu continent, Wan Wudi, had been Master Lu. Zhou Qing continued, the Yin Ghost sect, the Netherworld Devil sect, and the Dark Demon Hall are already plotting. They should be joining forces to kill you. The armies of the Yin Ghost sect, the Netherworld Devil sect, and the Dark Demon Hall will arrive soon. The Dark Ghost sect had communicated with the Jiutian, Divine Earth, and Netherworld Prison, and had learned that Lu Yiping wasn't from the Jiutian. Divine Earth and Netherworld Prison also knew that he wasn't a godchild. Lu Yiping's expression remained indifferent. The Dark Ghost sect and Netherworld Devil sect claimed that they were here to avenge Hao Dan and Su Xiu, but it was a lie. They were only interested in the Heavenly Mammoth Divine Prison Fist and the Divine Fist of Time in his possession. They even thought that he had obtained the treasures of the Sacred Demon and Father Time. Taurus Longjiao laughed when he heard this. I hope that the Dark Ghost sect, Netherworld Devil sect, and Dark Demon Hall don't just send a few cats and dogs. Otherwise, they won't even be enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. Li Bin was confused. The Dark Ghost sect, Netherworld Devil sect, and Dark Demon Hall's armies? Zhou Qing said to Li Bin, you probably don't know, but this is young Master Lu Yiping, known as the Zither Immortal. Young Master Lu Yiping. Li Bin was shocked when he heard this. He only knew that Lu Yiping's surname was Lu, but he didn't know about Lu Yiping's identity. The donkey glanced at Taurus Longjiao. Don't boast too early. When the Dark Ghost sect's armies arrive, you'll be so scared that your hair will turn black. After drinking, Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao returned to the Wan family's main residence, while Li Bin and Yang Gang went to report to the Wan family's new legion. As for Zhou Qing, he followed Lu Yiping to the Wan family's main residence. Wan Wudi was already waiting in front of the Myriad God residence, but he was surprised when he saw Zhou Qing beside Lu Yiping. What, Wudi brat? Don't you recognize this old beggar after becoming the master of Shinwu continent? Zhou Qing asked. Chapter 63. Wan Wudi quickly smiled and said, Senior Zhou Qing must be joking. I just didn't think that Senior Zhou Qing would come with Sir, so I was momentarily stunned. Senior Zhou Qing, please don't take offense. Then he said, I will deliver the Azure Sea wine to Senior Zhou Qing. Zhou Qing smiled with satisfaction. You, Qin Qingyang, Luo Ning, and the others, you're the only one I like. As Wan Wudi and Zhou Qing were chatting, Lu Yiping arrived in front of the Myriad God's residence and walked in without any obstruction. Wan Wudi was stunned. This Myriad God's residence had a terrifying array formation. He had tried countless times but was unable to approach within 10 meters of it. But Lu Yiping had actually walked in like this? Even Zhou Qing was surprised. No one could enter the Myriad God's residence. This was something that many masters of the Eternal Essence world knew. Zhou Qing and Wan Wudi also tried to walk in. But what surprised them was that the Myriad God's residence's array formation didn't appear at all. The two of them also walked in without any obstruction. What was going on? Could it be that the Myriad God's residence's array formation had been broken? But they hadn't seen Lu Yiping make a move just now. Don't blame me for not reminding you. You can come in, but don't touch anything. Lu Yiping indifferently said, otherwise, you'll die without an intact corpse. Zhou Qing and Wan Wudi's hearts chilled. In truth, there wasn't anything important in this Myriad God's residence. Thus, Lu Yiping had allowed them to enter. Zhou Qing and Wan Wudi followed behind Lu Yiping. They saw that the stone table in the courtyard was actually made from a single piece of violet sunstone. Violet sunstone was a rare type of divine stone. Even in Jiutian, it was difficult to find. Heavencraft Chamber of Commerce had once auctioned off a square meter of violet sunstone for $1 billion. As they passed through the courtyard, a divine tree appeared in front of them. Azure Flame Divine Tree. Zhou Qing and Wan Wudi were stunned. The leaves of the Azure Flame Divine Tree carried Azure Divine Flames. These Azure Divine Flames could be used to refine divine pills, temper the divine body, and had all sorts of wonderful uses. Its value was even higher than violet sunstones. Extreme Celestial Sect had one. In the Hengyuan Plain, there was only one Extreme Celestial Sect. However, in the Extreme Celestial Sect, the Azure Flames had yet to transform into a spirit. The Azure Flames in front of him had already done so. Behind the Azure Flame Divine Tree, Lu Yiping led the group to the front hall. In the main hall of the front hall, there were 4 bronze pillars that could only be encircled by several people. All sorts of ancient patterns were carved on the copper pillars. The 2 of them discovered that the copper pillar was actually made of mysterious yellow crystal iron. Mysterious yellow crystal iron was one of the toughest divine materials in the Eternity Plane. It could be used to forge supreme-grade divine artifacts. A supreme-grade divine artifact forged with mysterious yellow crystal iron was far more powerful than other supreme-grade divine artifacts. As for everything else in the palace, they were all extraordinary items. Lu Yiping looked at these items with a calm expression. These things were of no use to him. Finally, Lu Yiping arrived at the inner hall of the Myriad Gods' residence, the place where the Master of Myriad Gods usually cultivated. There was a long sword hanging on the wall of the inner hall. The long sword was completely black and emitted a cold aura. Other than the long sword, there was also a cold jade bed. There was nothing else. This was the residence of the Master of Myriad Gods in the past. It was not his cultivation dwelling, but his cultivation dwelling was somewhere else. Lu Yiping took out the long sword. When he unsheathed the sword, the entire hall was plunged into darkness. Even Zhou Cheng and Wan Wudi couldn't see their fingers clearly. Not only that, but they also discovered that their divine sense couldn't sense their surroundings in this darkness. It was completely blocked by the dark energy. Lu Yiping sheathed the sword, and only then did the hall return to normal. Eye of Eternal Night? Zhou Cheng and Wan Wudi looked at the sword in Lu Yiping's hand with fear and trepidation. The Eye of Eternal Night, the Devil Race's supreme devil sword. That's right, this is the sword of the Devil Race's Lord, Eternal Night, the Eye of Eternal Night. Lu Yiping confirmed. As expected. Zhou Cheng and Wan Wudi's hearts shook when they heard Lu Yiping say that this was the Eye of Eternal Night. Half an hour later, Zhou Cheng and Wan Wudi left the Myriad Gods' residence. Coming out from the Myriad Gods' residence, Zhou Cheng muttered, "Why is the Eye of Eternal Night in the Myriad Gods' residence? Could it be that the Devil Race's Lord was killed by the Master of Myriad Gods?" According to the records in the God Canon, the Devil Race's Lord, Eternal Night, had suddenly died in his own bedroom. As for the murderer, no one knew. The Eternal Night King's sword, the Eye of Eternal Night, had also disappeared. Now, the Eye of Eternal Night had appeared in the Myriad Gods' residence. Zhou Cheng was bewildered. On the other hand, Wan Wudi's expression changed. "Little Wudi, do you know something?" Zhou Cheng noticed Wan Wudi's expression and asked, "You must know Lu Yiping's background, right?" "What is his background?" Wan Wudi shook his head. "Senior Zhou Cheng, you don't need to ask me." Zhou Cheng was even more bewildered. Earlier, he had made many guesses about Lu Yiping's background, but now, it seemed that it wasn't the case. After Wan Wudi and Zhou Cheng left, Lu Yiping rubbed the Eye of Eternal Night. Other than being the Eternal Night King's personal sword, this Eye of Eternal Night had another important meaning to the Devil Race. Therefore, for so many years, the Devil Race's experts had been searching for this Eye of Eternal Night. Could Su Cheng's death have something to do with this Eye of Eternal Night? Taurus Longjiao suddenly asked. The Master of Myriad Gods' real name was Su Cheng. Lu Yiping understood Taurus Longjiao's meaning and shook his head. "It shouldn't be, no one knew that I gave the Eye of Eternal Night to Su Cheng." "What if it's someone close to Su Cheng?" Taurus Longjiao asked. "Perhaps." Lu Yiping's gaze deepened. The next day, Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao left the Myriad Gods' residence, arriving at a dilapidated courtyard in the Tiandu city. The courtyard's wooden door had rotted away, and weeds grew everywhere. Lu Yiping walked up to the courtyard's moss-covered stone steps and sat down. He took out a bottle of wine and drank for an hour. An hour later, he and Taurus Longjiao left for an ancient clock tower in the Tiandu city. By the time he returned to the myriad god's residence, the sky had already darkened. This continued for several days. Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao strolled around the Tiandu city. On this day, when Lu Yiping was riding Taurus Longjiao through a busy street, a shocking sword chi cut through the void, arriving in front of Lu Yiping in an instant. Seeing that the sword chi was about to cut Lu Yiping's throat open, Lu Yiping clamped the sword chi in the air with both hands, then waved his hand, sending the sword chi into the crowd. Immediately, a middle-aged man was struck by the sword chi and flew out from the crowd. The middle-aged man looked at Lu Yiping in shock. He didn't expect that his sure-kill attack would be blocked by Lu Yiping. Alea's sword. Lu Yiping looked at the middle-aged man indifferently. An assassin from the Path of Slaughter? The Path of Slaughter was the most mysterious and ancient assassin organization in the Eternal Origin world. The Path of Slaughter had even successfully assassinated Heavenly God realm experts. The middle-aged man in front of Huang Xiaolong was a peak late-stage True God realm expert. Moreover, he was a peak late-stage True God realm expert who had comprehended more than 100 Heavenly God laws. Chapter 64. After one's cultivation reached peak late-stage True God realm, one could comprehend Heavenly God's laws. After comprehending 10,000 strands of Heavenly God's laws and successfully integrating them, one would break through to the Heavenly God realm. Therefore, there were differences in strength between peak late-stage True God realm experts. Comprehending 100 strands of Heavenly God's laws and comprehending 200 strands of Heavenly God's laws would make a huge difference in battle power. The difference between comprehending 1,000 strands of Heavenly Tao law and comprehending 500 strands of Heavenly Tao law was even greater. Of course, Heavenly God's laws weren't easy to comprehend. The further one progressed, the harder it was to comprehend them. This assassin from the Path of Slaughter had comprehended more than 100 strands of Heavenly God's laws. The middle-aged man looked coldly at Lu Yiping. I didn't expect you to be so strong. However, my assassination failed. Lord Grim Reaper will send someone stronger to kill you next time. The Grim Reaper was the leader of the Path of Slaughter. There were many assassin organizations in the Hengyuan world, but only the leader of the Path of Slaughter could obtain the title of Grim Reaper. As for this Grim Reaper's strength, no one knew. However, right at this time, a dagger pierced towards Lu Yiping's back. Its speed was extremely fast, much faster than the previous sword chi. Moreover, the dagger was covered in black ink, clearly stained with poison. This time, the Path of Slaughter didn't only send the same middle-aged man to kill Lu Yiping, but they also sent another person. This person's strength was much stronger than the previous middle-aged man. However, when the dagger was an inch away from Lu Yiping's back, it suddenly stopped. The dagger-wielding assassin from the Path of Slaughter was shocked. Spatial stagnation. Lu Yiping turned around, looking at the other party with a cold gaze. The other party was a woman. A very beautiful woman. Soul-devouring poison. Taurus Longjiao looked at the dagger. The poison on the dagger was the world's most powerful poison, soul-devouring poison. Even if a Heavenly God realm expert was poisoned, it would be difficult to expel it. And those below the Heavenly God realm would die. Lu Yiping's body emitted a bright light, sending the assassin flying. As for the dagger, it turned into fine dust. Ruan, leave! The middle-aged man shouted at the female assassin who appeared behind him. Following which, his entire body surged with radiance, turning into countless blade chi that slashed towards Lu Yiping. The woman behind him didn't hesitate and immediately flew into the sky. He instantly disappeared into the crowd. Leave! Lu Yiping sneered. With a suction force from his hand, the female assassin who had disappeared earlier was once again pulled out from the void by Lu Yiping. She fell to the ground. As for the middle-aged man's saber chi, it was shattered by Taurus Longjiao's palm strike. The middle-aged man was slapped to the ground. Taurus Longjiao's huge bull leg stomped into the opponent's chest, shattering his armor. The middle-aged man who was being stepped on by Taurus Longjiao suddenly had black blood flowing out from the corner of his mouth. His entire body instantly turned purplish-black. It was clear that the assassin had consumed poison after seeing that the assassination attempt had failed. It was none other than the soul-devouring poison from earlier. After the middle-aged man, black blood also flowed out from the corner of the woman's mouth. Her entire body also turned purplish-black. Seeing that both of them were about to die from the poison, Liu Yiping's fingers suddenly emitted a bright light that entered the surrounding space. The two assassins were alarmed to discover that not only did the space around them stop, but it also started to flow in reverse, returning them to the time before they consumed the poison. Space-time reversal. Both of them couldn't believe their eyes. Space-time reversal was harder to comprehend and control than stagnating space. Even the extreme celestial gates Jiang Yu couldn't control space-time reversal. After reversing space-time, Liu Yiping pulled the two assassins in front of him and searched their souls. It didn't take long for Liu Yiping to finish scouring their souls. Liu Yiping extracted all the heavenly gods' laws from their godheads and transferred them into Zhang Jin and Zhao Wen's godheads. Then, he crushed them and threw them into the universe cauldron. The battle between Liu Yiping and the two assassins was completely isolated by Liu Yiping's space-time law, thus it did not startle the surrounding people. Master, did the Ghost sect and Netherworld Devils sect hire assassins from the path of slaughter? Taurus Longjiao asked. Probably not. Liu Yiping shook his head. The two assassins from the path of slaughter didn't know who their employer was, but Liu Yiping's intuition told him otherwise. If the Ghost sect and Netherworld Devils sect wanted to kill him, they would do it themselves. They wouldn't go to the trouble of hiring assassins from the path of slaughter. Although the two assassins didn't know who their employer was, the path of slaughter's leader, Killing God, definitely knew. Liu Yiping returned to the Wan family's main residence and called Wan Wudi over. Path of slaughter? Wan Wudi was surprised when he heard Liu Yiping asking about the path of slaughter. Two experts from the path of slaughter tried to assassinate you, master. Taurus Longjiao said. What? Wan Wudi's face sank. Then I'll lock down the entire sky capital and search the city. No need. Liu Yiping said, only two of them came and I killed them. Do you know the path of slaughter's headquarters? Wan Wudi shook his head and muttered, the path of slaughter's headquarters is a mystery. Only one person knows about it. Who? Liu Yiping asked. Jiang Yu of the Extreme Celestial Sect. Wan Wudi said in a different tone. Oh. Liu Yiping was surprised. Wan Wudi said, I heard that Jiang Yu fought with the path of slaughter's Killing God. He's also the only one who survived. If this Killing God is so strong, why isn't he ranked in the Eternal Plane's top 10 experts? Taurus Longjiao asked. Because no one knows his true strength, so there's no way to rank him, Wan Wudi said. Martial God Hall's Martial God Jiu hasn't fought for many years, so there's no ranking either. As Wan Wudi spoke, he carefully glanced at Liu Yiping. Martial God Jiu of the Martial God Palace had entered the sacred forest. As for the relationship between Martial God Jiu and Liu Yiping, many people were guessing. At this time, Liu Yiping's communication talisman vibrated. He took it out and saw that it was a message from the Heavenly Secret Chamber of Commerce's branch president, Sun Lishuan. Back then, he had asked the Heavenly Secret Chamber of Commerce to help him investigate Yang Dong's disappearance. Now, there was a result. After reading the message, Liu Yiping smiled indifferent. Luo Ning. Back then, Yang Dong had received an invitation to enter the battlefield of the gods, but had gone missing. Now, the Heavenly Secret Chamber of Commerce had found out that the person who had invited Yang Dong was sword god Luo Ning. When Liu Yiping mentioned Luo Ning, Wan Wudi was stunned. Liu Yiping tossed the communication talisman to Wan Wudi. Wan Wudi was also surprised when he read the message. Did that mean that Yang Dong's disappearance had something to do with Luo Ning? Master, Luo Ning isn't simple, Wan Wudi thought for a moment, then said, he has a good relationship with the Jiutian's Taiching Sword School. When he mentioned the Taiching Sword School, Wan Wudi's expression turned serious. In the Hengyuan Plain, there were 10 superpowers. The Great Celestial Sect was the leader of the 10 superpowers. However, there were 3 special existences above the Great Celestial Sect. The Jiutian, the Divine Land, the Netherworld Prison. These 3 powers were above Tai's sect. As for the Taiching Sword School, it was one of the strongest superpowers in the Jiutian. Chapter 65. Oh, Taiching Sword School. Lu Yiping's expression did not change. Taurus Longjiao snickered, so, it's those old birds from Taiching Sword School. Could this Luo Ning be one of those old birds' disciples? Old birds? Wan Wudi's face stiffened. He knew who Taurus Longjiao was talking about, but it wasn't appropriate for him to say anything. We'll leave in a bit. Lu Yiping said. Lord, you're leaving in a bit? Wan Wudi was surprised, hesitating to speak. Lu Yiping glanced at Wan Wudi, asking, you want some green flames to temper your body? Wan Wudi's face flushed red. He didn't expect Lu Yiping to see through his thoughts. He had just broken through to the heavenly god realm. If he could use the azure flames divine tree's green flames to temper his heavenly god physique, it would save him several hundred years of cultivation. Lu Yiping said, although the azure flames divine tree's green flames are useful, the effect is still lacking. A ball of golden flames appeared on his fingertip as he said this. In an instant, the space around them seemed to be immersed in lava. Wan Wudi stared at the golden flames in Lu Yiping's hand, exclaiming in shock, this is phoenix flames. That's right, it's the phoenix flames born from the divine phoenix tree. Lu Yiping confirmed, and with a tap of his finger, the phoenix flames entered Wan Wudi's body. This phoenix flames are many times better than the azure flames divine tree's green flames, Lu Yiping said, when you refine them, you can carefully comprehend the law of fire contained within. Wan Wudi respectfully knelt down, gratefully thanking Lu Yiping, many thanks, Lord. Get up, Lu Yiping said, if there's anything you don't understand in your cultivation, you can ask me now. Wan Wudi was ecstatic. After getting up, he began to ask Lu Yiping about the problems he had encountered in his cultivation in the past few years. 1 hour later, Lu Yiping, Taurus Longjiao, Zhou Cheng, and the others left the heavenly capital city. Wan Wudi personally escorted them to the outskirts of the city. Long after Lu Yiping had disappeared into the horizon, Wan Wudi returned to the Wan family ancestral grounds. I didn't expect that Luo Ning's matter would be related. After they left, the heavenly god realm's heart, Zhou Qing frowned. He had sent the message talisman's talisman. He had read Lu Yiping. He also knew that Lu Yiping was heading to the Luo manor. Lu Yiping Luo's Luo, 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 Luo. The dragon horn golden bull chuckled, I hope that Brat Yang Dong's death has nothing to do with him. After a pause, it continued, if it has something to do with him, then his fate will be worse than Yang Dong's. Lu Yiping was expressionless. Zhou Qing sighed. I've long since seen through Luo Ning's evil intentions. However, his relationship with the Jiutian Taiching Sword School isn't simple. He's been coveting the position of master of Shenwu continent for the past few years, and he's hoping that the Taiching Sword School doesn't support him. At the mention of the Jiutian Taiching Sword School, Zhou Cheng's expression turned serious. 3 days later, Lu Yiping and the others arrived at the Wraith Plains. The Wraith Plains was the largest plain on Shenwu continent. It was also the most chaotic plain on the continent. Within the plains, the various powers were intertwined. In this place, there was no power from any empire. Even the Wan clan couldn't control this place. Many evil powers were gathered here, including the Dark Ghost sect, the Netherworld Devil sect, and the Tan family. Most of their forces were gathered here. The Dark Ghost sect, the Netherworld Devil sect, and the Tan family had branches here, and they were the most important branches on Shenwu continent. Aside from the Dark Ghost sect, the Netherworld Devil sect, the Tan family's branches, the Raging Inferno sect, the Paradise Court, the Cthulhuism Society, and the Heavenly Ghost sect were all headquartered here. Fighting and killing could be seen everywhere in this place. The Luo Manor's forces were located on the other side of the Wraith Plains. Lu Yiping and the others only needed to cross the Wraith Plains to reach the Luo Manor. Legend has it that the ancient Wraith fell here, which is why the evil aura here is so dense. Zhou Qing sat on his donkey and drank wine. Some say that the ancient Wraith didn't actually die, and his heart is still alive. The ancient Wraith God was the master of myriad gods' greatest enemy. However, the ancient Wraith God was extremely powerful, and he was one of the top 10 ancient experts just like the master of myriad gods. Even the master of myriad gods couldn't do anything to him. Taurus Longjiao replied that Brat Changliang has already cultivated an eternal demon heart. Even if his spirit and body are destroyed, his heart will continue to live. The ancient Wraith God's real name was Changliang. Eternal demon heart. Zhou Cheng's expression changed when he heard this. He knew how difficult it was to successfully cultivate an eternal demon heart. In the history of the Eternity Plane, only one person had succeeded in cultivating an eternal demon heart. However, he had never heard of the ancient Wraith God successfully cultivating it. Taurus Longjiao grunted in agreement. This brat's talent is truly monstrous. Moreover, he obtained the supreme ancient Wraith God's cultivation method and cultivated it to the final stage. Zhou Qing didn't know who ancient Wraith God was, but he guessed that he was an expert of the ancient Wraith race. Did the ancient Wraith God really cultivate an eternal demon heart? Zhou Qing asked in shock. But there is no record of it in the ancient God canon. Taurus Longjiao chuckled. There are many things that are not recorded in the ancient God canon. That brat Changliang's body hair is purple, but there is no record of it in the ancient God canon. Zhou Qing spat out the wine in his mouth. There was such a thing. You even know this? He looked at Taurus Longjiao suspiciously. How do you know all this? Taurus Longjiao chuckled and said, because I plucked that brat's body hair. Donkey sneered. Why don't you say that you plucked the ancient heavenly emperor's hair? Zhou Qing shook his head. Lu Yiping didn't say anything. In the ancient Wraith God's body hair had indeed been plucked by Xiao Jin. Moreover, all of his body hair had been plucked clean. However, Lu Yiping still found that brat Changliang quite pleasing to the eye. Although this brat did things in a straightforward manner, he didn't cause great suffering. After the Battle of the Gods, he hid in the sacred forest and didn't come out. Many years later, he learned about the ancient Wraith God's death. After entering the Wraith God plane, Lu Yiping frowned as he sensed the faint evil qi in the plane. Who set up this array? Was it the person who killed the ancient Wraith God? Since the other party had killed the ancient Wraith God, why would they set up this array here? Not long after, they saw an ancient city. The ancient city stretched across the Wraith God plain. The city walls were almost full of sword marks, saber marks, and marks made by various weapons. Grand Desolation City. On the city gate, there were 3 words carved in ancient Wraith God plain. Grand Desolation City was the largest city in the Wraith God plain. It was also the oldest city of the ancient Wraith God. Although it was called Grand Desolation City, it wasn't desolate at all. In the city, there was an endless stream of experts from various forces. I heard that the Ksitigarbha Sutra appeared. A brat used the Ksitigarbha Sutra's ultimate technique and killed an elder of the Paradise faction. Whispers kept coming from the crowd. The most talked about by the experts was the news of the Ksitigarbha Sutra, one of the 4 great Buddhist scriptures, appearing. Chapter 66. Ksitigarbha Sutra. Zhou Qing was shocked at the name. The 4 great Buddhist scriptures were Hengyuan Plain's supreme treasures. Regardless of which scripture appeared, it was a major event in Hengyuan Plain. Lu Yiping was also surprised. Now that the Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture was in his hands, did the other Ksitigarbha Sutra also appear? The Ksitigarbha Sutra's Ksitigarbha Thousand Buddha Hands is a Buddhist Tao's supreme art. I've heard that once this Ksitigarbha Thousand Buddha Hands is used, all devils and devils will be annihilated, and the user's battle prowess will increase by 1,000 times. No one will be a match for the user. Not only that, the Ksitigarbha Thousand Buddha Hands can pluck the stars in the sky and explore the Yellow Springs River in hell. The entire Fiend God Plains is looking for this kid. I've heard that he's wearing blue robes and looks to be in his 20s, handsome and extraordinary. The experts passing by were talking about Huang Xiaolong. Lu Yiping was stunned. The other party was also wearing blue robes? Zhou Cheng looked sideways at Lu Yiping, joking, "Don't tell me they're talking about you." Originally, Zhou Cheng was just joking, but many experts' gazes fell on Lu Yiping. One of the Blazing Fire Gate's disciples even walked towards Lu Yiping. The disciple looked at Lu Yiping from head to toe and asked suspiciously, "You're that blue-robed kid?" Another Blazing Fire Gate's disciple laughed, "Whether it's him or not, we'll know once we search him and see if he has the Ksitigarbha Sutra." Several Blazing Fire Gate's disciples did not hesitate, reaching out to grab Lu Yiping. However, when these several Blazing Fire Gate's disciples' hands were about to touch Lu Yiping, 1,000 zhang long fire dragon flew out from Lu Yiping's body. The fire dragon's roar shook the sky as it soared into the sky. These several Blazing Fire Gate's disciples were burned to ashes by the fire dragon's flames. The sudden change stunned all the disciples and experts passing by, looking at the giant fire dragon in the sky. Fire dragon? While everyone was still in shock, a Blood Sword Gate's Grand Elder suddenly spoke, "This is an artifact spirit." He then added, "The fire dragon contains Buddhism energy." Fire dragon Buddhist scriptures Fire dragon's fire dragon. As soon as these words came out, there was an uproar. Zhou Cheng was also stunned for a while. Fire Dragon Buddhist Sutra. F***CK. Not only did Lu Yiping have Holy Demon and Old Man Time's Astronomical Divine Prison Fist, but he also had the Fire Dragon Sutra, one of the 4 great Buddhist sutras. Lu Yiping looked at the shocked crowd and said indifferently, "That's right, this is the Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture." The fire dragon flew back to Lu Yiping's side and coiled around Lu Yiping's body. Just as Lu Yiping's words fell, 1,000 zhang long blade light pierced through the air, slashing down at Lu Yiping. Lu Yiping didn't seem to move, but the fire dragon soared into the sky and smashed the saber light in an instant. Then, the giant dragon claw slammed down. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly dodged. A loud boom was heard, and the ground around them trembled violently. A giant fire dragon claw pit appeared on the ground in front of them. The person who attacked was slammed into the pit by the fire dragon, turning into a pile of charcoal. It looks like Devil Fall Valley's Grand Elder Wu Yu. Some experts were shocked. Devil Fall Valley's Grand Elder Wu Yu was a 10th layer Emperor Realm expert with a high chance of becoming a god. How could he be slapped to death just like that? The fire dragon flickered and turned into a golden book of flames, falling into Lu Yiping's palm. Everyone's eyes burned with desire when they saw the book. Their eyes were fixed on the Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture. "Is there anyone else who wants to make a move?" Lu Yiping asked indifferently. But the surroundings were silent. Lu Yiping put away the Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture, then rode on the Taurus Longjiao and left with Zhang Jin and the others. Just as Lu Yiping was about to leave, a Yin ghost sex expert whistled through the air. Indifferent to Lu Yiping, that person stood in the air, looking at Lu Yiping. "Kid, the Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture is a Buddhist treasure, it's not something you can have." But just as he finished speaking, he was sliced in half by a sword chi. The person who attacked was Zhang Jin. Everyone looked at Zhang Jin in shock. This time, no one tried to stop him. The crowd watched as Lu Yiping's group left. When Lu Yiping left, the crowd was in an uproar. The Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture also appeared. "I've heard that anyone who cultivates any of the 4 great Buddhist scriptures will possess a supreme Buddha physique." Back then, the Tan family had been searching for the Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture for many years in the Fire Dragon Temple, but it ended up in this blue-robed young man's hands. They are both wearing blue robes, could they be brothers from the same sect? Soon, the news of the Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture's appearance spread across the Fiend God Plains. Everyone was stirred up once again. After Lu Yiping left, Zhou Cheng asked, "Did you do that on purpose?" Lu Yiping had clearly revealed the Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture on purpose. Did he want to lure all the experts from the Yin Ghost sect, the Netherworld Devil sect, and the Dark Demon Hall over? Lu Yiping's expression was calm, as he had indeed done it on purpose. Since he was passing by the Fiend God Plains, he might as well take care of the Ghost sect, the Netherworld Devil sect, and the Dark Demon Hall's forces on the plains. However, rather than looking for them one by one, it would be better to lure the Ghost sect, the Netherworld Devil sect, and the Dark Demon Hall over together. In a certain tavern, a young man wearing blue robes like Lu Yiping heard the discussion in the tavern and was astonished. The Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture. Was this a coincidence? He had come to the Shinwu continent this time to go to the Fire Dragon Temple and find the Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture. It looks like there's no need to go to the Fire Dragon Temple. The young man sneered, and his figure disappeared into thin air. Night fell. The night had quieted down. However, the air of the Fiend God Plains was still filled with the stench of blood. Within a dilapidated courtyard, Lu Yiping and a few others were gathered around a bonfire. At this time, several people walked in. When Zhou Cheng saw them, he was surprised to see that they were disciples of the Luo family. He glanced at Lu Yiping. He had not expected that the Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture would not attract the experts of the Ghost sect, the Netherworld Devil sect, or the Dark Demon Hall, but the disciples of the Luo family. After the disciples of the Luo family entered, their gazes landed on Lu Yiping. The young man in the lead cupped his fists and smiled. I am Luo Zhen, the young master of the Luo family. Is the Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture with you? Zhou Cheng looked at the young man in front of him and asked, Are you that little girl Luo Tong's elder brother? Luo Zhen was stunned, and he smiled. Senior knows my sister. How should I address you? Zhou Cheng shook his head and said, For that little girl Luo Tong's sake, listen to my advice, go back. Luo Zhen smiled, obviously not taking Zhou Cheng's words to heart. He looked at Lu Yiping and asked, Which sect are you from, young noble? Lu Yiping did not speak, waiting for the other party to continue. You killed the Raging Fire Gate, Devil Fall Valley, and Ghost sects experts during the day. Now, the Raging Fire Gate, Devil Fall Valley, and Ghost sects experts have placed you on their must-kill list. Luo Zhen smiled, I'm afraid it will be difficult for young noble to leave the Fiend God Plains. Lu Yiping smiled hearing this, and he already guessed what the other party wanted to say. As expected, the Luo family's young lord Luo Zhen smiled, I can bring young noble out of the Fiend God Plains safely. Moreover, as long as young noble stays in my Luo Manor's territory, nothing will happen. Lu Yiping smiled faintly, the condition is the Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture. Chapter 67. Luo family's young lord Luo Zhen frowned when he saw Lu Yiping's mocking smile. Then, he chuckled, I just want to borrow the Fire Dragon Buddha scripture. I'll return it to young noble in 1 month. The Fire Dragon Buddha scripture is still young noble's. You won't lose anything, you can consider it. Then, he added, in the Fiend God Plains, only our Luo family can protect you. Suddenly, Taurus Longjiao laughed, Kid, what if we don't borrow it? Luo family's young lord Luo Zhen maintained his smile, then I'll have to trouble you. Cupping his fists, he said, farewell. But when he walked out of the courtyard, he added, if young noble changes his mind in the future, feel free to contact my Luo family. Then, he left with the Luo family's experts. After leaving, Luo family's young lord Luo Zhen's face was gloomy. Young lord, are we not going to make a move? One of the Luo family's experts asked. Luo Zhen shook his head, I can't see through that kid. Moreover, the guards around him are not weak. Wait for our Luo family's experts to arrive first before making a move. Order all the Luo family's experts to come here as fast as possible. I want to make a move before the Ghost sect and Netherworld Devil sect. Taurus Longjiao looked at the departing Luo family's young lord Luo Zhen and snorted, he's the same as that little girl Luo Tong. Lu Yiping suddenly said, wait here for me. Then, he disappeared into thin air. Zhou Cheng was stunned. He spread out his divine sense to cover the surroundings, even penetrating through layers of space, but he couldn't find Lu Yiping's aura. It was as if Lu Yiping had completely disappeared from this world. Zhou Cheng was bewildered. How did Lu Yiping leave just now? Was it a spatial dislocation? When Lu Yiping reappeared, he was already in the depths of the Fiend God Plains, a different space. This different space was located in the deepest part of the Fiend God Plains. In this space, devil chi soared to the sky, and nefarious chi raged, forming terrifying tornadoes. And in the sky above, there was a huge black heart. The black heart was pierced through by 8 chains of holy light, locking it in the air. The entire heart was covered with dense demonic runes and emitted an eternal aura. The demonic chi around the heart had already liquefied and turned into demonic spirits. All the devil chi and evil chi in this space came from this heart. Eternal demon heart. Lu Yiping said as he looked at the gigantic heart before him. This was the ancient evil god Chang Liang's heart, the eternal demon heart. As if sensing Lu Yiping's arrival, the ancient demonic heart trembled. However, its power was completely sealed by the 8 chains of light, and it could not break free at all. Lu Yiping flew up and arrived in front of the eternal devil heart, looking at the 8 chains that were emitting a holy light. Each of the 8 radiant iron chains was tens of thousands of feet long. After passing through the ancient demon heart in 8 different directions, they extended into the depths of the void and became one with the space. Great Purification Array. Lu Yiping's eyes sharpened. Another great ancient array. Although this great purification array was not as powerful as the 9 ultimate god burial array in the battlefield of gods, it was still one of the most powerful great ancient array. Was it the person who killed the ancient evil god Chang Liang who set up this great purification array and sealed the ancient demon heart here? Lu Yiping came before one of the radiant iron chains. With a pinch of his fingers, he broke the radiant iron chain. When Lu Yiping snapped the radiant iron chain, the remaining 7 radiant iron chains shot out layers upon layers of radiant strength, drowning Lu Yiping. Each of these layers of radiant strength was enough to destroy an ancient mountain. Lu Yiping allowed the radiant strength to hit him. When the radiant strength that could destroy countless ancient mountains hit Lu Yiping did not move an inch. Then, Lu Yiping came to the other 7 radiant iron chains and did the same thing, snapping the other 7 radiant iron chains. When Lu Yiping snapped all 8 radiant iron chains, the ancient demon heart's radiant light that had been sealed for countless years shook violently, and a terrifying radiant strength burst out. When the ancient demon heart's radiant strength burst out, the entire Fiend God Plains shook violently with a loud boom. At this moment, all the experts in the Fiend God Plains felt the Fiend God Plains shaking violently. Luo Zhen and the Luo family's experts were shocked when they saw the nefarious chi boiling in the air. What's going on? Why is the Fiend God Plains nefarious chi so strange? The Fiend God Plains nefarious chi had never been so strange. Hidden fiend devils also flew out from their respective sects' ancestral lands. Zhou Cheng was also shocked, and he stood up from the bonfire. Only Taurus Longjiao could vaguely guess the reason. Inside the strange space, the ancient demon heart's radiant light grew brighter and brighter. Nefarious chi soared to the sky like a boundless sea. Nefarious chi burst out, and the strange space was on the verge of collapsing. Although the 8 radiant iron chains were snapped by Lu Yiping, there were still 8 radiant iron chains that pierced through the ancient demon heart. But now, the radiant strength from the ancient demon heart's radiant nefarious chi sent all 8 radiant iron chains flying out, piercing through the ground. When the ancient demon heart's radiant nefarious chi reached a boiling point, a divine stone appeared in Lu Yiping's hand. The divine stone emitted a 5-colored radiant light. It was none other than the Chaos Multicolored Stone. The heavenly Tao fire appeared in Lu Yiping's hand, refining the Chaos Multicolored Stone into a liquid state. Then, the Chaos Multicolored Stone's liquid state flowed towards the ancient demon heart. The Chaos Multicolored Stone's liquid state revolved around the ancient demon heart. As it revolved, with the ancient demon heart as the center, a human head gradually appeared, followed by the neck, chest, arms, and finally the lower limbs. A tall and sturdy young man appeared in the air. When this tall and sturdy young man's body was fully formed, Lu Yiping made a grabbing motion towards the void. Specks of light gathered in the void above the Fiend God Plains and slowly seeped into the young man's forehead. The young man's lifeless eyes gradually became lively and radiant. Several minutes passed in this manner. Lu Yiping stopped and took out a black divine armor for the young man to wear. The young man opened his palms and looked at his new body. Even with his temperament, he couldn't suppress the excitement in his heart. After a while, the young man came before Lu Yiping and bowed respectfully, "Many thanks to Lord for saving me and for helping me reconstruct the chaos divine physique." Lu Yiping looked at the prostrating ancient demon god Changliang and revealed a smile, "Get up." After ancient demon god Changliang got up, Lu Yiping asked, "Who killed you in the past? Was the all-directional purification grand array arranged by this person?" Changliang recalled, "The other party wore a ghost mask, and the all-directional purification grand array was arranged by him. He was tall and sturdy, about 3 meters tall. His strength." His expression turned solemn as he said this, "was extremely terrifying." Extremely terrifying. This was his description of that person. Ghost mask? Lu Yiping couldn't help but recall the masked man who had entrusted the heavenly secret chamber of commerce to auction the myriad god token. Chapter 68. Lu Yiping looked around and said, "Let's get out of here first." Then, he and Changliang left the underground space of the wretched god plains. The restless nefarious qi above the wretched god plains calmed down all of a sudden. Luo family's young lord Luo Zhen and other experts were bewildered when they saw the nefarious qi calming down. "Send someone to investigate what's going on." Luo Zhen ordered one of the Luo family's experts. That Luo family's expert complied respectfully. Right at this time, Luo Zhen's transmission talisman vibrated. He took it out and his eyes widened. "Young lord, what's wrong?" One of the Luo family's experts asked when he noticed Luo Zhen's expression. Luo Zhen passed the transmission talisman to that Luo family's expert. That Luo family's expert took the transmission talisman and exclaimed in shock, "What? That blue-robed young man might be Lu Yiping." The transmission talisman was sent by Luo Tong. When Luo Zhen heard that Zhou Cheng knew his sister, he asked his sister about Zhou Cheng, Lu Yiping, and the others' identities out of curiosity. He wanted to see if his sister really knew them. Who would have thought that the blue-robed young man was actually Lu Yiping? "Young lord, what should we do now?" one of the Luo family's experts asked. Luo Zhen's brows were tightly locked together. During the Big Dipper Empire's celebration, Lu Yiping killed the Dark Ghost sect's young lord Hao Dan with a single slash. At the Soaring Flower Gate, one of Lu Yiping's subordinates, a divine beast phoenix, destroyed the Soaring Flower Gate's grand protective formation. On top of that, the Yellow Springs Devil sect's ancestor Su Xiu died in Lu Yiping's hands. Therefore, all forces were guessing that Lu Yiping's strength was at the peak of late-stage true god realm. Some even said that Lu Yiping might be an early-stage heavenly god realm expert. That divine beast phoenix should also be at the peak of late-stage true god realm. Zhou Cheng was bewildered when he saw the nefarious qi calming down. However, just as he was about to sit down again, he saw Lu Yiping walk in with a black-robed youth. Zhou Cheng was puzzled when he saw the black-robed young man. At this moment, he saw Taurus Longjiao stand up and smile at the black-robed young man. "Little Liang, I knew you wouldn't die so easily." When the black-robed youth saw Taurus Longjiao, he smiled awkwardly. "Greetings, Senior Xiao Jin." Zhou Cheng looked at the ancient evil god Changliang and asked Lu Yiping, "Master Lu, how should I address this little brother?" However, Taurus Longjiao said, "You can call him Little Xia or Purple Hair." Little Xia? Purple Hair? Zhou Cheng was stunned. On the other hand, when the ancient evil god Changliang heard Taurus Longjiao call him Purple Hair, his expression changed. "So it's brother Little Xia," Zhou Cheng greeted. Hearing Zhou Cheng's words, ancient evil god Changliang nodded and sat down with Lu Yiping. Lu Yiping took out a jar of wine and threw it to the ancient evil god Changliang. Changliang caught the wine and took a big gulp. He wiped his mouth and said with a smile, "In this world, only master can drink your myriad ages wine." When Zhou Cheng heard that, he smiled and said, "So this wine is called the myriad ages wine." However, even supreme existences surpassing the heavenly God realm can only live for one lifetime. No one can live for 2 lifetimes, let alone 10,000 lifetimes. Lu Yiping remained silent. 10,000 lifetimes? Lu Yiping suddenly looked at a certain spot in the night sky and said calmly, "Since you are here, why are you hiding?" When Zhou Cheng heard that, he followed Lu Yiping's gaze and looked over. Someone is here. However, with his cultivation, he couldn't sense anything strange. Just as Zhou Cheng was feeling suspicious, he saw a blue-robed young man walk out from the depths of the night sky. After the blue-robed young man came out, he looked at Lu Yiping in confusion. He had a treasure that could completely conceal his aura. How did Lu Yiping see through his hiding place? His gaze swept across Lu Yiping, Zhou Cheng, Chang Liang, Taurus Longjiao, Donkey, Zhang Jin, and Zhao Wen. You have the Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture. He looked at Lu Yiping intently. Taurus Longjiao chuckled, "You are the kid who obtained the Ksitigarbha Sutra." The blue-robed young man ignored Taurus Longjiao and said to Lu Yiping indifferently, "Hand over the Fire Dragon Buddhist scripture and I will spare your lives." Taurus Longjiao continued to eat barbecued meat, ancient evil god Chang Liang and Zhou Cheng continued to drink wine, and Donkey was sleeping. When the blue-robed young man saw that, his face darkened. He jumped up and swung his sword. Thousands of sword rays lit up the sky. Void-shattering sword. The blue-robed young man's voice was cold. Zhou Cheng exclaimed in shock, "Void sword chi. You are Tang Xiaobai's disciple." 3,000 years ago, Tang Xiaobai appeared out of nowhere. He was neither righteous nor evil, doing things according to his whims. He slaughtered countless experts from the evil and righteous sections. Later, he was besieged by the Great Celestial Gate and died at the Soul Burial Cliff. Although Tang Xiaobai was dead, the power of Tang Xiaobai's Void Sword Qi was still mentioned by the experts of Hengyuan world. Seeing that Zhou Cheng had used Void Sword Qi, the blue-robed young man said coldly, "That's right, Void Sword Qi." His thousands of sword qi pierced towards Lu Yiping. Looking at the incoming sword qi, Lu Yiping raised a finger and pointed at the blue-robed young man. Seeing that Lu Yiping was so careless and nonchalant, the blue-robed young man sneered, "Idiot. Kid, this void sword qi of mine is a dual attack of the soul and physical. Even an early heavenly god realm expert's soul would be injured if they were hit by my sword. Anyone below the heavenly god realm will die." However, right at this time, a beam of light shot out from Lu Yiping's fingertip. When this beam of light shot out, the powerful force caused time to stagnate. Wherever the beam of light passed, space shattered. That's right, space shattered like glass. The beam of light plowed through thousands of void sword qi, plowing through the night sky, and slammed into the blue-robed young man's chest, piercing through his chest. The beam of light did not stop there. Like a falling star, it blasted through the night sky of the wretched god plains. Almost all the experts in the wretched god plains saw this dazzling beam of light. The blue-robed young man froze in midair, looking at his chest in disbelief. His chest had been completely pierced through, forming a huge hole in his chest. He was wearing Tang Xiaobai's robe of nothingness. Not only could it conceal his cultivation, but it also had an invincible defense. However, his internal organs, including his heart and dantian, were all gone. Everything in his chest was blasted away by the attack just now. Lu Yiping looked at the blue-robed young man and said indifferently, "With your strength and the robe of nothingness, even an early heavenly god realm expert would find it hard to kill you. Unfortunately, I'm not an early heavenly god realm expert." The blue-robed young man fell from the sky. Lu Yiping's attack just now was still destroying his vitality. His eyes gradually lost focus. A peak late-stage true god realm expert, one who had cultivated more than 8,000 heavenly god laws, died just like that. Comprehending 10,000 heavenly god laws and merging them would allow one to break through to the heavenly god realm. This blue-robed young man was already extremely close to becoming a heavenly god. His face was filled with disbelief. He had obtained Tang Xiaobai's cultivation method and ultimate technique, as well as one of the 4 great Buddhist scriptures, the Ksitigarbha Sutra. When he emerged, he thought he would be like Tang Xiaobai, stunning an era. But now, he had died in this dilapidated little courtyard. He did not even have the time to use the Kitagarbha Sutra's ultimate technique.